Chapter 360. Shui Tianya. When Ao Wuming saw the person who had arrived, a smile emerged on his face. I never would have thought that this devil emperor called Shui Yi was actually the son of the Blood Devil Emperor. I remember. You, Blood Devil Emperor, have a daughter, right? When did you have a son? Shui Tianya's appearance was like that of a refined youth in his 20s. His white clothes were incomparably white without a single speck of dust. Son, daughter. Shui Tianya took a glance at Shui Yi who was beside him. Devil Emperor Shui Yi still had a callous appearance. Even when facing his father, he was still that cold. He is my son. As for my daughter, she is merely my adopted daughter, said Shui Tianya indifferently. Adopted daughter, humph. A cold snort sounded from beside Ao Wuming. Shui Tianya looked over and his expression slightly changed. However, he still had a slight smile on his face. Luoyu, you're also here. Jun Luoyu merely snorted coldly and did not reply. Blood Devil Emperor, right? Zhang Yan stood beside Jun Luoyu and stared at Shui Tianya. You, Blood Devil Emperor, are also a great character. Back then your daughter and my big brother Luoyu were very close. However, in the end, why did you give your daughter to your son to be his wife? Adopted daughter, corrected Shui Tianya. Zhang Yan snorted and said. I know she's your adopted daughter. However, big sister Zhao and big brother Luoyu knew each other first. The two of them also fell in love with each other first. Why did you forcibly break them apart? So much so that in the end, you let this Shui Yi kill big sister Zhao. Little girl, although you have your grandmother behind you, you must still be polite when speaking to your elders. Do you understand? Shui Tianya's voice naturally carried a sense of dignity. Back then, Zhang Yan's grandmother had told Zhang Yan's appearance and aura to those peak experts in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Shui Tianya was one of them. Thus, the instant Shui Tianya saw Zhang Yan, he knew that Zhang Yan was that lucky little girl. At the same time, he also felt that this matter was thorny. In the immortal devil and demon realm, there were very few people that could give Shui Tianya headache. The Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Clan was one. Hidden Emperor could barely be considered one. As for the mysterious grandmother behind Zhang Yan, she was also one. Shui Tianya. Jun Luoyu spoke up, his eyes red. Listen to me, you don't have the right to be A Jiao's father, and you don't have the right to talk about A Jiao. In the future I hope you don't talk about A Jiao anymore because hearing it makes me sick. No father would treat his daughter like this. No father would be so cruel and heartless. Jun Luoyu's entire body was trembling slightly. If A Jiao hadn't made me promise before she died that I would never seek revenge against you in my entire life, I would definitely have killed you. Jun Luoyu hated him. He hated the Blood Devil Emperor Shui Tianya. However, how could he dare to refuse the request of his lover before her death? Jun Luoyu, Shui Yi said coldly. You and A Jiao have feelings for each other, but you two have not become husband and wife. Father gave A Jiao to me, so she's my wife. She's my wife now, yet you two are still seducing each other. What's wrong with me killing A Jiao? What right do you have to spout nonsense here? All right. Shui Tianya's brows slightly creased. Soon after, he smiled at Ao Wuming and said, Brother Wuming, I've let you see a joke. It's not funny at all. Ao Wuming replied with an indifferent smile. Shui Tianya couldn't help but feel somewhat annoyed. Qin Yu, who had been listening at the side for a long time, finally understood what had happened. A Jiao was Shui Tianya's adopted daughter. She and Jun Luoyu were in love with each other. As the Blood Devil Emperor, it was impossible for Shui Tianya to not know about this matter. It was likely that Shui Tianya didn't stop it at the beginning. However, later on, the Devil Emperor Shui Yi took a fancy to A Jiao and asked his father to give A Jiao to him. Without the slightest hesitation, Shui Tianya bestowed A Jiao to the Devil Emperor Shui Yi. After that, A Jiao and Jun Luoyu met by Shui Yi. Shui Yi was furious and wanted to kill A Jiao. Jun Luoyu was too weak and had no way to resist. Before A Jiao died, she asked Shui Yi to spare Jun Luoyu. At the same time, she also asked Jun Luoyu to not seek revenge against her father. It was likely that A Jiao still had very deep feelings towards her father, Shui Tianya. A Jiao is a pitiful person. Brother Luoyu is also a pitiful person. This Shui Yi is a brute. As for Shui Tianya, Qin Yu was unable to make a judgment in his heart. Say that he had feelings. He casually arranged A Jiao's life without caring about A Jiao's own wishes. Say that Shui Tianya was heartless. He was extremely concerned about his son, Shui Yi. Let's not talk about this matter anymore. Anger appeared between Shui Tianya's brows. Junliu, listen carefully. Jiao was raised by me. I can also be considered as her father. Naturally, I can decide who she marries. Shui Yi is A Jiao's husband. Naturally, he can decide A Jiao's life and death. There is no need to doubt this. As for you, Jun Luoyu, just because you said that A Jiao is your wife, does that mean that A Jiao is your wife? Shui Tianya laughed indifferently. You think too highly of yourself. You want to kill Shui Yi. Let me tell you, as long as I am around, you will never succeed. Shui Tianya glanced at the Devil Emperor Shui Yi beside him. A trace of affection flashed through his eyes. Shui Tianya felt that he owed his son a lot. When Shui Yi was still an infant, he had already lost him. When Shui Yi grew up among the wild beasts and even became an expert, only when he had become an expert in wild beasts did Shui Tianya find his son again. This caused Shui Yi and Shui Tianya to always be estranged. Even when Shui Tianya named him Shui Yi changed his name to Shui Yi. Times in the bamboo forest. Big brother, that Devil Emperor Shui Yi requested for Lin to be buried with his disciple. How can you still be so calm and watch the fire burn across the river? Said the Black Immortal Emperor of the Black and White Dual Emperors. A trace of a smile appeared on Lin Yin's face. Isn't the story getting more and more interesting? Furthermore, it's time to let Lin know about the danger. It's not too late for us to act at the final moment. The final moment. Big brother, aren't you afraid that Lin will be the same as her parents? Just as the White Immortal Emperor said those words, Lin Yin's expression changed. Lin Yin, Level 9 Immortal Emperor. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, not many people dared to look down on him. However, several thousand years ago, his son and daughter-in-law were killed in a battle. It was on an enormous planet in the Indigo Bay star field, the Bright Feather Star. From that day onwards, the Bright Feather Star no longer existed in the Indigo Bay star field. All the super experts knew that at that time, the furious Lin Yin had directly shattered the Bright Feather Star. It was so much that countless people on the Bright Feather Star were buried with his son and daughter-in-law. No one could imagine that the hidden emperor, who was always gentle and refined, would have such a cruel side. Third brother, you don't have to worry. As long as Lin is on the hidden emperor star, there is absolutely no one who can harm her in the slightest. Said Lin Yin coldly. The Black Immortal Emperor and the White Immortal Emperor glanced at each other and said no more. That Shui Tianya ought to properly discipline him. He really thought that he could bury whoever he wanted. Said Lin Yin coldly. Then, his gaze shot toward the direction of the East Star City. With Lin Yin's strength, he would definitely be able to arrive at the location of the incident in an instant. Countless people in the East Star City were watching from afar. However, there was not a single person within 100 miles of where Shui Tianya, Ao Wuming, Qin Yu, Jun Luoyu and the others were. Everyone was 100 miles away. Brother Wuming, the cause of this matter is merely a small matter. Let's make a decision after we figure out what happened. What do you say? Said Shui Tianya with a smile. Ao Wuming also nodded in agreement. Shui Yi, what happened? Shui Tianya looked at Shui Yi. Shui Yi said indifferently. I'm also not very clear about what happened. All I know is that my disciple Guan Nu fell in love with a woman and wanted that woman to become his cultivation companion. After that, this Qin Yu killed my disciple Guan Nu. Qin Yu? Hearing this name, Xue Tianya's gaze shifted toward Qin Yu. He merely took a glance and did not say anything else. Among the several upper realm emissaries that descended from the mortal realm was the blood devil Du Zhongjun sent by Xue Tianya. After Du Zhongjun left the Enai Yang's realm, he also reported what happened in the mortal realm to Xue Tianya. Thus, Xue Tianya was very sensitive toward the name Qin Yu. Guan Yu, no wonder. Xue Tianya understood in his heart. He now knew why his son was so frantic and furious. So it was actually a Guan Yu who had the same childhood as his son. Xue Tianya knew in his heart that there was always a barrier between him and his son. Instead, his son had a very good relationship with that Guan Yu. Perhaps, in Xue Yi's heart, Guan Yu's position was comparable to Xue Tianya's or even surpassed Xue Tianya's. Xue Yi, where is the woman you spoke of? Xue Tianya asked. She was taken into Qin Yu's immortal mansion. Xue Yi looked toward Qin Yu. Xue Tianya's heart moved. Soon after, he smiled toward Qin Yu and said, Qin Yu, can you first release that woman from your immortal mansion? Rest assured, with Brother Wuming here, I will not use force. Qin Yu looked toward Ao Wuming. The Blood Devil Emperor is, after all, a great figure. How could he not keep his word? Brother Qin Yu, just release that woman. Ao Wuming said with a smile. Qin Yu nodded. Soon after, he had Lin Lin and Cece come out from the Qingyu immortal mansion. Lin Lin and Cece suddenly appeared beside Qin Yu. That green-clothed lady is the woman that Guan Yu has taken a fancy to, right? Xue Tianya said with a smile. Lady, there is no need to worry. The two of you are already safe. Xue Tianya is, after all, the Blood Devil Emperor. He is a person with status. He would not go back on his word. Qin Yu said to Lin Lin and Cece. Thank you, mister. Lin Lin said. Lin Lin was shocked that the white-clothed man was actually the Blood Devil Emperor. At the same time, she was also confused. Why didn't any of her senior martial brothers, her grandfather and the others appear? Xue Tianya said with a smile. Lady, Guan Yu wanted you to become his wife, right? But Lin Lin nodded. And then Qin Yu killed Guan Yu. Xue Tianya asked again. Mr. Qin Yu killed Guan Yu in order to save me. Lin Lin hurriedly said. Xue Tianya looked toward Ao Wuming with a smile. Brother Wuming, after hearing the explanations from both sides, I believe that you and I both understand what happened. Although it was wrong for Guan Yu to force Lin Lin to become his Dao companion, his crime was not worthy of death. Furthermore, this matter should be unrelated to Qin Yu. This Qin Yu killed Guan Yu for no reason at all. As the saying goes, a life for a life. A life for a life. Ao Wuming's gaze grew cold. Qin Yu's expression also changed. This Xue Tianya was actually targeting him. Ever since he opened the Jianglan's realm, Qin Yu no longer feared anyone. This was also the reason why he dared to openly use his divine armor. A life for a life. Lin Lin stood out. Senior Blood Devil Emperor, that Guan Yu had forced me to become his Dao companion and even wanted to capture me. Mr. Qin Yu killed him in order to save me. Furthermore, Mr. Qin Yu had also been lenient 2 or 3 times in succession. Merely that Guan Yu said something like, either you die or I die. In the end, Mr. Qin Yu had no choice but to kill Guan Yu. Could it be that Senior Blood Devil Emperor believes that Mr. Qin Yu should be killed by Guan Yu without fighting back? Little girl, you dare to interrupt me when I'm speaking? With merely a glance from Xue Tianya, Lin Lin was shocked and her complexion turned pale. As the Blood Devil Emperor, Lin Lin was only a level 3 heavenly immortal. When had Xue Tianya ever placed Lin Lin in his eyes? Xue Tianya, is it not okay for my granddaughter to speak confidently and confidently? A voice containing anger sounded. A cyan-clothed figure, a white-clothed figure and a black-clothed figure appeared at almost the same time. The people who had arrived were the Hidden Emperor and the Black and White Dual Emperors. Grandfather, second grandfather, third grandfather. Seeing the people who had arrived, Lin Lin immediately flew over. She directly threw herself into Lin Yin's bosom. Senior Lin. Seeing the people who had arrived, Ao Wuming immediately clasped his hands and greeted. At the same time, Ao Wuming also had a smile on his face. He was secretly pleased with himself. So the story of the hidden emperor's son and daughter-in-law leaving behind an infant was true. The hidden emperor truly hid it well. Blood Devil Emperor, weren't you arrogant? Let's see if you can still be arrogant. Qin Yu Luyan, come let me introduce you all. This is Senior Hidden Emperor. These two are Senior Black Immortal Emperor and Senior White Immortal Emperor. Ao Wuming said while beaming with smiles. Qin Yu, Jun Luyu and Jiang Yan all had smiles on their faces. They all went up and respectfully greeted them. And at this time, Xue Tianya merely smiled and shook his head. Brother Lin, I never would have thought. I truly never would have thought that this girl was actually your granddaughter. Brother Lin truly hid the information about your granddaughter very well. Even I didn't know that you had a granddaughter. Xue Tianya still had a smile on his face. However, Lin Yin's expression was ice-cold. Xue Tianya, today's matter is your son Xue Yi's fault. Could it be that you think that your son can bury whoever he wants to bury with his disciple? You actually want my granddaughter to bury with him? Humph, you're tyrannical to my granddaughter. At this time, Lin Yin did not give Xue Tianya the slightest bit of face. Xue Tianya slightly frowned. Xue Yi, come out and apologize to Miss Lin. Xue Tianya said coldly. Because of his son, Xue Tianya actually felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Firstly, he had offended Ao Wuming. Secondly, he had offended the grandma behind Jiang Yan. If it were only those two, then it would have been fine. But now there was also Hidden Emperor. Hidden Emperor was too powerful. Not only was Hidden Emperor himself a level 9 immortal emperor, his two good friends, the Black and White Dual Emperors, were both level 8 immortal emperors. Xue Yi frowned. In an instant he thought of a lot of things. However, in the end he still clenched his teeth and walked out. He bowed with his head lowered and said, Miss Lin, I was wrong this time. I hope that Miss Lin can forgive me. Qin Yu and the others were able to see that the veins on Devil Emperor Xue Yi's forehead were bulging. Evidently, he was forcibly restraining his anger. Chapter 361. After all, Xue Yi was a Devil Emperor. Furthermore, he was an arrogant Devil Emperor. To have him apologize to a little girl who was only a level 3 heavenly immortal in front of so many experts, it was indeed hard on Xue Yi. Forget about it, grandfather. Seeing Xue Yi's appearance, Lin Lin's heart softened and said, Xue Yi, quickly thank Miss Lin Lin, said Xue Tianya indifferently. Although Xue Tianya's expression did not change, his heart was filled with anger. He, the Blood Devil Emperor, had moved unhindered in the immortal devil and demon realm. When had he ever suffered such a loss? However, today, when faced with Ao Wuming, Hidden Emperor, Black and White Dual Emperors, he had no choice but to swallow his anger. Xue Yi clenched his teeth. His gums trembled. Thank Xue Tianya, this time, it was your disciple's grandson who wanted my granddaughter to be his cultivation companion. Who do you think your disciple is? He dared to be so tyrannical in the Hidden Emperor star. After that, your son even directly wanted my daughter to accompany him in death. Did you think that a mere apology would be enough? Lin Yin's eyes flickered with lightning. Xue Tianya was stunned. I, Lin Yin, only have a single granddaughter. Regardless of who it is, I will not allow them to bully my granddaughter. If you are unable to handle this matter to my satisfaction, I will definitely not let this matter go. Lin Yin was overbearing. Xue Tianya was momentarily speechless. Ao Wuming, Jun Luoyu, Jiang Yan, Qin Yu and the others were all shocked upon seeing this scene. What a hidden emperor! Qin Yu secretly praised in his heart. It seems that the rumors cannot be completely trusted. This hidden emperor's temper is not as good as the rumors say. When he loses his temper, it's truly frightening. Qin Yu happily watched the show from the side. Brother Luoyu, Brother Qin Yu, if my guess is correct, Hidden Emperor is going to establish his might this time. Ao Wuming's voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu looked to Ao Wuming. Don't be confused. Hidden Emperor does not covet great authority, nor does he fight over territory. However, he is extremely concerned about his loved ones. Back then, when Hermit Emperor's son and daughter-in-law were killed, Hermit Emperor annihilated everyone on that planet in a fit of rage. No matter if they were enemies or ordinary people, the entire planet was turned into cosmic dust. Ao Wuming sighed as he spoke. It's not difficult for an immortal emperor-level expert to destroy a planet. But to dare do what the Hermit Emperor did and turn a planet into cosmic dust, there really aren't many of them. Ao Wuming praised. Qin Yu was slightly startled and couldn't help but look at Lin Yin. This seemingly amiable middle-aged man actually dared to completely destroy a planet when he was angry. The Hermit Emperor is not someone to be trifled with. This time, the Blood Devil Emperor is definitely going to suffer. Qin Yu was beginning to understand why the Hermit Emperor was doing this. Ao Wuming's voice once again resounded in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu Luoyu, the fact that the Hermit Emperor has a granddaughter is a very secretive matter. The Hermit Emperor has always kept this matter a secret. Even I only found out today. I think that the Hermit Emperor saw that his granddaughter's existence would be known by the outside world today. Thus, he might want to take this opportunity to establish his might and intimidate others. Pitiful Blood Devil Emperor. Qin Yu smiled and said via voice transmission. The Hermit Emperor is establishing his might on the Blood Devil Emperor. Ao Wuming and Jun Luoyu both had smiles on their faces. Times since Qin Yu and them were able to tell, Xue Tianya was naturally able to tell that Lin Yin wanted to establish his might. Xue Tianya, us three brothers are watching you. Lin being bullied like this is not something that can be resolved with a simple apology, said the Black Immortal Emperor with an ice-cold face. In the entire immortal, devil and demon realm, the Hermit Emperor and his brothers were truly not afraid of anyone. Even if Emperor Yu, the Mystic Emperor and the Cyan Emperor were to join hands, the Hermit Emperor and his brothers would not fear them in the slightest. The Hermit Emperor, the Black Immortal Emperor and the White Immortal Emperor all had cold faces. Clearly, if they were to disagree, the Hermit Emperor and his brothers would not mind attacking Xue Tianya. They didn't even care that the three of them would join hands and kill the Blood Devil Emperor Xue Tianya on the spot. Three lunatics. Anger burned in Xue Tianya's heart. Xue Tianya displayed a sincere smile and said, Brother Lin, Brother Black, Brother White, this time, it was indeed my son Xue Yi's fault. Earlier, I had already asked him to apologize. If the three of you feel that it's not enough, then feel free to tell me how you want to deal with this unfilial son. I will definitely not shield him, said Xue Tianya in a righteous manner. The Hermit Emperor muttered to himself for a moment and then slowly said, Xue Tianya, you only have a single son. Although he had offended my granddaughter this time, I will not take his life because of you, Xue Tianya. Hearing these words, Xue Tianya heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. As long as his son was not killed, this matter could still be discussed. However, while death can be forgiven, punishment cannot be avoided. Xue Tianya, you must guarantee that your son will fulfill these three demands. Otherwise, I, Lin Yin, will definitely kill your son. At that time I will not care about your identity as Xue Tianya. Lin Yin's voice was indifferent. However, it contained an irresistible might. Brother Lin, please speak, said Xue Tianya with a smile. Although Xue Tianya was able to be this calm on the surface, his son Xue Yi's entire body was slightly trembling. The veins on his hands and forehead were all bulging. The first demand. From today onwards, your son Xue Yi is not allowed to take a single step into the Indigo Bay starfield. If he enters, he will die, said Lin Yin indifferently. The Indigo Bay starfield was the border between the Immortal Realm and the Devil Realm. It was an extremely important strategic location. Generally, experts would frequently gather at the Indigo Bay starfield. To have Xue Yi not be able to step into the Indigo Bay starfield for his entire life was indeed an extremely heavy punishment. Xue Tianya paused for a moment and then said, "That's fine." Xue Yi, who was at the side, did not care after hearing that. To him, the Indigo Bay starfield was nothing extraordinary. However, to be strictly ordered not to enter the Indigo Bay starfield caused Xue Yi to feel that he had received the greatest humiliation. The arrogant Xue Yi's heart was filled with anger. Endure. There was only this word in Xue Yi's heart. Lin Yin lightly nodded and then said indifferently, "The second demand. Your son must receive a palm strike from me." What? Xue Tianya's expression changed greatly. Seems like there's a big change in the situation. Qin Yu also immediately looked carefully at everything before his eyes. To have a level 6 Devil Emperor Xue Yi receive a palm strike from Hidden Emperor Lin Yin. Who was Lin Yin? A level 9 Immortal Emperor. A super expert who was about to undergo the divine tribulation. He could be said to be the #1 person in the immortal realm. Lin Yin's palm strike. If Lin Yin wanted to kill Xue Yi would definitely not be able to escape with his life from Lin Yin's palm strike. Brother Lin, this demand is a bit excessive. Your brother Lin is the Grand Hidden Emperor, a level 9 Immortal Emperor. Even I admit that I am inferior to your strength. You actually want to personally attack my son. The smile on Xue Tianya's face disappeared. What was left was only gloominess. I can take a step back and personally receive your palm strike. How about it? Said Xue Tianya as he looked at Lin Yin. After all, Xue Tianya was one of the 3 big shots of the Devil Realm. His strength was only a level lower than Lin Yin's. With his special abilities, even if Lin Yin wanted to kill Xue Tianya, it would still be extremely difficult. A single palm strike would at most injure Xue Tianya. Xue Tianya was able to recover from his injuries in a blink of an eye. Lin Yin shook his head. When I say 3 demands, it means 3 demands. Cannot be changed. The second demand you can only choose to agree or refuse. If you refuse, you know the consequences. A ray of light flashed through Xue Tianya's eyes. Father. Xue Yi, who had his head lowered the entire time, raised his head and looked at Xue Tianya. Father, let's kill him. Don't be afraid of that old thing. Xue Yi's voice transmission sounded in Xue Tianya's mind. This old thing is insulting you and insulting me. We cannot continue like this. The corners of Xue Yi's eyes were bloodshot. Stay to the side. Don't be reckless. Shouted Xue Tianya angrily through voice transmission. Brother Lin. Xue Tianya looked at Lin Yin. Earlier, you said that you would spare my son's life. Now you want my son to receive a palm strike from you. What is the meaning of this? I said that I would spare your son's life. Naturally, I will spare your son's life, said Lin Yin indifferently. You still haven't told me. Do you agree or not? Xue Tianya smiled. He stared at Lin Yin and said, But, Lin Yin, I believe in your promise. Xue Yi, go out and prepare to receive a palm strike from Senior Hidden Emperor. As a Senior Hidden Emperor would definitely not kill you. Xue Yi took a deep breath and then took 2 steps forward. Although Xue Yi was arrogant, he was not stupid. He knew when to be arrogant and when to endure silently. I will not kill you. Lin Yin waved his sleeve. However, I will let you never forget this day. A ray of light flashed through Lin Yin's eyes. With a wave of his sleeve, a pew sound was heard. Devil Emperor Xue Yi was pushed back several tens of steps by the palm strike. Soon after, Devil Emperor Xue Yi knelt down on one knee. Blood unceasingly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Xue Yi slightly raised his head and coldly looked at Lin Yin. A trace of anger flashed past Xue Tianya's face. He already knew what Lin Yin's palm strike was for. However, Qin Yu did not understand. Wasn't it just a palm strike? As long as he didn't die, it should be very easy for him to recover. Why would Xue Tianya be this angry? Only the Black Immortal Emperor, White Immortal Emperor, Xue Tianya and Ao Wuming were able to understand the palm strike just now. Qin Yu Luoyu, that palm strike from Hidden Emperor earlier was not a casual palm strike. When it struck Xue Yi's body, did you two notice that a few green threads shot out from Hidden Emperor's hand and penetrated into Xue Yi's head? Ao Wuming's voice sounded in Qin Yu and Jun Luoyu's minds. I didn't see it clearly. Jun Luoyu's voice sounded in Qin Yu and Ao Wuming's minds. I didn't see it clearly either. I only barely noticed a special kind of energy. Qin Yu said. That's right. That was a kind of energy that belonged to Lin Yin. Even though Xue Yi was wearing a divine armor, Lin Yin still allowed that energy to directly penetrate into Xue Yi's body from his head. Furthermore, it penetrated into Xue Yi's yuanying. Ao Wuming sighed and said, "This move was indeed ruthless enough." Hearing this, Qin Yu completely understood. Unless this Xue Yi cultivates to level 9 Devil Emperor, he will never be able to get rid of this energy. Times. This energy of mine is not a lot. Xue Yi is only a level 6 Devil Emperor right now. Normally, he will have to use half of his yuanying's energy to suppress my restriction. Otherwise, be careful that my restriction will cause your yuanying to go into chaos and explode," said Lin Yin indifferently. His meaning was very clear. When Xue Yi was a level 6 Devil Emperor, he would only be able to use half of his strength. As his strength increased, the amount of energy used to suppress Lin Yin's restriction would decrease. However, Xue Tianya was a bit angry in his heart. With the restriction set up by Lin Yin's energy, unless one reached level 9 Devil Emperor, it would be impossible to break it. Furthermore, only the person who was affected by the restriction would be able to break it with his own strength. The energy of an outsider would not be able to casually enter the yuanying. Brother Lin, the second request has already been fulfilled. What about the third request? Said Xue Tianya coldly. The current Xue Tianya was already unable to maintain his earlier smiling appearance. Lin Yin said indifferently. The third request is very simple. Junluyu and your son have grudges. It's fine if they were to fight each other. However, this little brother called Qin Yu. As Lin Yin said that, he pointed towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu was slightly startled. How did you talk about me? Lin Yin continued. Little brother Qin Yu. He and your son did not know each other in the past. This time, in order to save my granddaughter, he killed your grand disciple. This time, your grand disciple was too arrogant and actually tried to snatch my granddaughter. Not only was little brother Qin Yu not wrong in taking action, what he did was very correct. Hearing this, Qin Yu could not help but shake his head and smile. Right. Wrong. Why would he care about other people's evaluation of his own actions? This time, the reason why he took action was precisely because this Lin Lin was the girl that his dead disciple liked. Little brother Qin Yu did not do anything wrong. However, your son had seriously injured him. Thus he should also apologize. This is my third request, said Lin Yin indifferently. Xue Tianya's gaze shot towards Qin Yu. Hui Yi, apologize. Xue Tianya's voice did not fluctuate in the slightest. At the side, Devil Emperor Xue Yi's complexion was as pale as paper. At this moment, he was still continuously using the energy within his body to suppress the restriction within yuanying. The existence of the restriction caused him to be unable to freely and completely use his energy in the future. Clenching his teeth, Devil Emperor Xue Yi took 2 steps forward and stared at Qin Yu. Like a poisonous snake staring at its prey, he said coldly. Qin Yu, this time it was my fault. Sorry. You don't have to be like this. Qin Yu suddenly extended his hand to stop him. I know that right now you are very unconvinced. To be forced to apologize to me like this, you feel uncomfortable saying it, and I also feel uncomfortable accepting it. However, I know that I killed your disciple and you will not let go of this enmity. Xue Yi, I welcome you to come and find me for revenge at any time. Of course, at that time it's not certain who will be the one to kill who. After saying that, Qin Yu turned around. Right now you don't have to take action. Earlier you were unable to kill me. Right now, you only have half of your strength. This kind of apology, Qin Yu was simply disinclined to accept it. After saying that, Qin Yu looked towards Lin Lin and said with a slight smile, Lady Lin Lin, you have a grandfather like Senior Hidden Emperor. Whether or not a small person like me intervenes is of no use. Mr. Qin Yu, Lin Lin hurriedly said. Qin Yu said with a smile, Lady Lin Lin, there's no need to say any more. I know what kind of strength I have. However, there's still one thing that I have to say. Back then, I promised that no matter what matter you have to look for me in the future, I will definitely do my best to help you solve it. Now it seems to be a joke. However, Lady Lin Lin only needs to remember these words in your heart. If there comes a day when you need me and don't mind my low strength, you can send a message to me. After saying that, Qin Yu looked towards Ao Wuming, Jun Luoyu and Jiang Yan. Big brother Wuming, there's nothing else for me to do here. I'll return first. Senior's Hidden Emperor, Black Immortal Emperor and White Immortal Emperor. Junior will take his leave. Chapter 362. Lin Yin smiled and nodded. Little brother Qin Yu, if you have time in the future, you can visit Hidden Lead. Of course, Qin Yu said respectfully. At this time, Jun Luoyu also spoke up. Qin Yu, I'll also accompany you back. He then turned to look at the Hermit Emperor and the others. Seniors, this junior will be leaving with brother Qin Yu. I'm leaving too. Jiang Yan didn't greet anyone, and directly followed beside Jun Luoyu. As for Ao Wuming, it was not convenient for him to leave. After all, he was a character on the same level as the Hermit Emperor and the others. Furthermore, he had some matters to discuss with the Hermit Emperor. Brother Lin Yen doesn't understand etiquette. Don't mind her too much, said Ao Wuming with a smile. That girl is called Jiang Yan, right? I heard Granny Yin Hua mention her before. Hidden Emperor looked at Jiang Yan's departing back view. His face was filled with smiles. Before meeting Granny Yin Hua, I had truly never imagined that there would be an expert like Granny Yin Hua in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Ao Wuming also sighed. That's right. Granny Yin Hua's power is unfathomable. It's just that we don't know if she has passed the divine tribulation. Hard to say. I'm also unable to see through Granny Yin Hua. No matter what, she's at least a 9th-level immortal sovereign, said Hidden Emperor with certainty. Brother Shui, what do you think? Ao Wuming suddenly looked towards Shui Tianya. This time around, Shui Tianya could be said to have suffered a great loss. However, at this moment, Shui Tianya still possessed the demeanor of a hero. Granny Yin Hua is indeed a super expert. We actually did not know of such an expert even after all these years. To be honest, I am truly a bit scared. Exactly how many experts like Granny Yin Hua are there in the immortal, devil and demon realm? It's impossible for there to be too many. Ao Wuming smiled. Shui Tianya lightly shook his head and smiled indifferently. Let's not talk about this matter anymore. Brother Lin, I still have important matters to attend to, so I won't be able to meet up with you. I'll take my leave first. I won't see you off. Lin Yi nodded. Shui Tianya looked at Shui Yi. The father and son immediately turned into 2 rays of light and disappeared into the horizon. Blue flame star. In a certain back hall of a luxurious manor. Blood Devil Emperor Shui Tianya's expression was gloomy. His son Shui Yi's expression was also unsightly. This time, both father and son had suffered a great loss. Shui Yi, you've been struck by Lin Yin's yuanying. That Lin Yin is truly too sinister. He directly infiltrated his yuanying into your yuanying. Even though I possess the strength of a level 9 Devil Emperor, I still do not dare to casually infiltrate my energy into your yuanying. If you want to break this yuanying, you can only rely on yourself. Shui Tianya consoled. A Devil Emperor's yuanying was the accumulation of years of cultivation. It was extremely important. The energy of outsiders could not casually seep in. Lin Yin didn't care about the consequences and directly used this move. I'm fine. said Shui indifferently. However, there was a trace of ruthlessness in his eyes. I am only a level 6 Devil Emperor right now. I need to consume half of my energy to suppress it. When I reach level 7 Devil Emperor, 10 to 20% of the energy will be enough. In the future, this restriction will not affect me much. Shui Tianya nodded. Shui, this time around what you did was very wrong. Do you know that? Shui Tianya looked at Shui. Shui Tianya had taught this son of his for many years. At the beginning, Shui was the same as Guanu. He did not know how to be flexible and disguise himself. In his heart, there was only the law of the forest. After all these years, Shui had only gotten slightly better. He was still very far from the goal that Shui Tianya had hoped for. I know. Shui nodded indifferently. I shouldn't have allowed Nu to go to the hidden Emperor Star from the very beginning. That was a mistake. He was too unyielding. He simply did not know how to endure. A trace of a smile appeared on Shui Tianya's face. His own son was criticizing Guanu. In reality, the Shui from back then was about the same as Guanu. Even now, he had only made slight progress. I also know that I made mistakes. Back then, you taught me to judge the situation and size up the situation. At that time, when I encountered Jiang Yan, I should have calmed down. Behind Jiang Yan was some Granny Yin Hua and Qin Yu. Qin Yu possessed a divine sword, 2 divine armors and an immortal mansion. The sect behind him was most definitely extraordinary. Shui said honestly. Ha ha. Shui Tianya laughed out loud. Shui, you're wrong here. Behind Jiang Yan was Granny Yin Hua. However, there was no need to care too much about that Qin Yu. He possessed 2 divine armors. Shui emphasized. 2. Shui Tianya sneered. Let me tell you, the immortal mansion that this Qin Yu possessed should be the Qingyu immortal mansion. The divine sword that he possessed should be the divine sword Sky Piercer. As for his divine armor, it should be the divine armor, Black Frozen Snow. Father, you're talking about the things that belong to immortal Emperor Yang, right? Shui understood something. Shui Tianya did not tell his son about the information that Blood Devil Du Zhongjun sent from the mortal realm. That was because Shui Tianya knew that his son's analytical ability was not very good. That's right. If my guess is correct, this Qin Yu's real name should be Lan Feng. If he is truly Qin Yu, then this Qin Yu is truly too much of a genius. In a short 200 years, he was able to reach his current strength from the Dashang stage of the mortal realm, said Shui Tianya with a light smile. Father, what are you talking about? Shui was a bit confused. Shui Tianya stood up. You don't have to care about this. You only need to know. This Qin Yu, he won't be able to live for long. Of course he won't be able to live for long. He killed Nu, so I will definitely kill him, said Shui coldly. Shui Tianya shook his head and said, immediately return to the devil realm. If you continue to stay in the blue flame star, then once that Lin Yin finds fault with you, he might kill you. As for killing Qin Yu, it's better for your father me to personally do it. The bewitching god painting the 10,000 beasts atlas, this time they should belong to me, said Shui Tianya in his heart. Times when Shui Tianya had just returned to the blue flame star, Shui Tianya's troops had already begun to secretly monitor Qin Yu. In reality, it was not only Shui Tianya's side, Emperor Yu's side was also monitoring him. When Shui Tianya was in front of Qin Yu, he did not reveal Qin Yu's identity in order to obtain the treasures more easily. He did not wish for the other experts to know about this. Although Hidden Emperor's strength was strong and he also roughly knew that the various big shots had sent people to the mortal realm, Hidden Emperor did not know about what had happened in the mortal realm. Thus, he naturally did not know about the existence of Qin Yu. In a short few days, the Hidden Emperor star experienced the destruction of the universe. The energy gathered around the planet and strangely formed a row of words. Afterwards, a great battle between Emperor-level experts occurred in the East Star City. Regardless of whether it was the Immortal Realm, Devil Realm or Demon Realm, they all had their own troops in the Hidden Emperor Star. It was so much so that all the major powers had increased their manpower in the hidden Emperor Star, within Demon Emperor Meng Hong's manor. These days, Qin Yu's life could be considered to be relaxed. However, there was one thing that caused Qin Yu to feel slightly uncomfortable. It was that Jun Luoyu was about to leave the hidden Emperor Star, and Jiang Yan was still going to follow Jun Luoyu. After a short period of fun, Jun Luoyu and Jiang Yan still had to part ways with everyone. At the interstellar conveying array of the hidden Emperor Star. Brother Qin Yu, big brother Wuming. Jun Luoyu squeezed out a smile. The battle with Shui Yi this time has awakened me. I no longer want to think about anything else. Right now, I only want to peacefully train and return to my hometown, the Blue Water Star, the place where I trained back then, that tranquil little island. When we brothers meet again next time, I will at least be a level 6 immortal emperor, or even higher. Qin Yu approved of Jun Luoyu's decision. Rather than wandering outside, it was better to train peacefully at a place. Qin Yu had once thought of having Jun Luoyu enter the Zhonglan's realm to train. However, Qin Yu understood one thing. He needed to proceed to the demon realm. From here to the demon realm, he would definitely pass through Emperor Yu's territory. This journey would be filled with dangers. He did not want Jun Luoyu to worry about him. Oh, Wuming laughed. Luoyu, you said that the next time we meet, you'll at least be a level 6 immortal emperor, or even stronger. Don't let us discover that you're bragging. Wuming, being a genius immortal emperor is not a joke. Lian Zhu, who stood to the side, laughed. Is there a need to talk about my big brother Luoyu's talent? Jiang Yan said complacently. Qin Yu patted Jun Luoyu's shoulder. That's enough, Lu. I don't know when the next time we meet will be. Merely, I hope that before you reach a sufficient level of strength, you will not go and find Shui Yi for revenge. I know. Jun Luoyu nodded. Finally, Jun Luoyu and Jiang Yan left. As for Qin Yu and Ao Wuming, they were still in the hidden Emperor Star. Times inside the Wuming Dragon Mansion. You said that you want to undergo seclusion training in the cosmos. Ao Wuming's face was filled with disbelief. Brother Qin Yu, my Wuming Dragon Mansion is extremely safe. If you were to undergo seclusion training in the cosmos, it would be extremely dangerous. Qin Yu lightly smiled. Big brother Wuming, I have my own considerations. You do not have to worry about this. Furthermore, I also have my own mansion. You know that. Right. Ao Wuming recalled Qin Yu's own immortal mansion and smiled. With that immortal mansion of yours, you indeed do not have to worry about any dangers. However, why do you insist on entering the cosmos? Ao Wuming was still a bit confused. Qin Yu felt helpless in his heart. Could it be that he could tell Ao Wuming that he wanted to absorb the elemental spirit energy of the cosmos into the Zhonglan's realm? With the absorption speed of the Zhonglan's realm, if he were to enter the hidden Emperor Star, he would definitely be discovered by others. The ratio of time and elemental spirit energy in the Zhonglan's realm was truly too astonishing. The difference between the cultivation methods is that my cultivation speed is faster in the cosmos. Qin Yu smiled and said, Big brother Wuming, this time around my seclusion training time would not be too long. It would definitely not be able to catch up to the 50 years from last time. With a ratio of 10-1, Qin Yu believed that the time it would take for his soul to reach the third level of the earthly soul realm from the second level should be relatively short. Okay, it seems that I am unable to persuade you. Ao Wuming smiled helplessly. Big brother Wuming, help me inform sister-in-law Lian Zhu that I am going to enter seclusion training now. After Qin Yu finished bidding farewell to Ao Wuming, he left the Wuming Dragon Mansion. After exiting the Wuming Dragon Mansion, Qin Yu took a deep breath. It's time for me to start training. I cannot continue to waste time like this. After I finish training this time around, my strength should be close to the immortal emperor level. The stability of the black hole should be increased by another level. At that time, even if I were to face a level 7 immortal emperor, I should still be able to withstand it. Qin Yu looked to the west. Fei Xiaohei, we will soon meet again. Qin Yu said in his heart. Greater teleportation. Not far from the hidden Emperor star was a desolate and uninhabited planet. During the day, the temperature of this uninhabited planet was so high that it could cause rocks to crack. During the night, the cold air would float around the entire planet like a mist. Being hot or cold did not affect Chinyu in the slightest. Most of the inhabited planets are covered with thick protective layers. During the day, it is almost impossible to see the stars in the universe. On the contrary, on these uninhabited planets, one can see the stars in the universe with a single glance. Chinyu looked to the numerous enormous celestial bodies that seemed to be within his reach. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. With a flip of his hand, he took out the Zhonglan's realm. Small. Following Chinyu's intention, that little green pagoda shrunk by 1,000,000 times. Since it was a divine artifact, changing its appearance was extremely easy. Chinyu turned the Zhonglan's realm into a green speck. Afterwards, he placed the Zhonglan's realm into the depths of the planet. With an intention, he entered the Zhonglan's realm. Inside the first layer world of the Zhonglan's realm, standing in the air within the Zhonglan's realm, Chinyu looked to the endless space. The elemental spirit energy of this Zhonglan's realm still needs to be absorbed from the outside world. It's a bit troublesome. However, I do not need to absorb the elemental spirit energy right now. I only need to train my soul. Chinyu began to control the Zhonglan's realm to absorb the elemental spirit energy. When Chinyu had just controlled the Zhong's realm, bang! A strange sound was emitted from the surroundings of the uninhabited planet that Chinyu was on. It was like the sound of an empty water bottle being suddenly placed into a river. Soon after, an invisible whirlpool appeared in the surroundings of this uninhabited planet. The endless amount of elemental spirit energy in the cosmic space began to be unceasingly absorbed by that invisible whirlpool. In the immortal devil and demon realm, the flow of elemental spirit energy was also very chaotic. However, from the moment when Chinyu began to control the Zhonglan's realm, at least the endless amount of elemental spirit energy of the Indigo Bay starfield began to slowly flow toward the planet that Chinyu was on. Water flows toward lower places. The interior of the Zhonglan's realm was empty, whereas the immortal, devil and demon realm had an enormous amount of elemental spirit energy. Thus, the elemental spirit energy was unceasingly flowing into the Zhonglan's realm. What sort of speed is this? Chinyu sensed the speed at which the Zhonglan's realm was absorbing the elemental spirit energy. He was overwhelmed with shock. If the speed at which a person cultivates and absorbs the elemental spirit energy was 1, then the speed at which the Zhonglan's realm absorbed the elemental spirit energy was definitely over 100 million. Furthermore, it was far more than that. However, Chinyu had forgotten one thing. The Zhonglan's realm could be considered as a space. The speed at which a space absorbed the elemental spirit energy of another space. How could it possibly be comparable to the speed at which an ordinary cultivator absorbed the elemental spirit energy? Let's continue like this. Chinyu sat down cross-legged in the air and began to peacefully train the 3 souls 9 refinements. As for the Zhonglan's realm, it was unceasingly absorbing the endless amount of elemental spirit energy of the immortal, devil and demon realm. Time slowly passed. The amount of elemental spirit energy in the Zhonglan's realm grew more and more. However, Chinyu was still sitting cross-legged in the air motionlessly. 10 years inside the Zhonglan's realm was only a single year outside. Just as Chinyu was quietly training like this, time passed. Chapter 363. On the nameless planet that Chinyu was training on, the invisible whirlpool surrounding it had been absorbing an endless amount of elemental spirit energy. This state had already persisted for 15 years. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Chinyu, who had been sitting cross-legged in the air the entire time, finally opened his eyes. His gaze was even more profound and tranquil. His soul's energy had dissolved into the heaven and earth. In an instant, Chinyu calculated the amount of time he would need to train. 150 years. Last time I merely used 50 years to train from the first layer of the earthly soul to the second layer of the earthly soul. However, this time I spent 150 years to train from the second layer of the earthly soul to the third layer of the earthly soul. Qin Yu sighed in admiration. Qin Yu had already expected that his training time this time would be longer than the last time. After all, the further one went, the harder it would be to train. This was also the reason why many people's cultivation speed from Heavenly Immortal to Golden Immortal was fast, and from Golden Immortal to Mystic Immortal was 10 times slower. These 150 years were merely 150 years in the first layer of the Jianglan's realm. In reality, only 15 years had passed in the outside world. My soul has already reached the third layer of the earthly soul. I'm only a step away from reaching the heavenly soul stage. I should be able to absorb energy to train now. Qin Yu slightly adjusted his state of mind. Soul training required a long time and martial power training required a short time. Especially after Qin Yu had reached the black hole realm. Regardless of what kind of energy it was, this black hole would be able to absorb and refine it. If other people were to be extremely concerned about the purity of energy when training, then Qin Yu was instead not concerned about it now. I've never tried using the black hole to train before. Let's see how fast the speed is. Qin Yu had a trace of excitement on his face. Ever since the black hole formed in his dantian, Qin Yu had already known that once the black hole went all out to absorb energy, it would be extremely frightening and extremely fast. However, as to how fast it would be, Qin Yu did not know. Closing his eyes, Qin Yu's consciousness was completely immersed in his dantian's black hole. Within Qin Yu's dantian's space, the black hole that had been in a static state the entire time suddenly started to rotate. An astonishing devouring power started to spread out from his dantian. Huff! Qin Yu's entire body seemed to be surrounded by an invisible whirlpool. Countless amounts of elemental spirit energy were being devoured at an astonishing speed. In merely a moment. Tornado. Within the Jianglan's realm, countless amounts of elemental spirit energy formed into an enormous vortex. They frantically rushed into Qin Yu's body. Their speed was many times faster than ordinary people's cultivation. 1,000,000 times, 10 million times. No one knew. Too fast, too fast. Qin Yu can clearly feel that his power is increasing at a frightening speed that makes one's heart tremble. An endless amount of elemental spirit energy poured into the black hole in Qin Yu's dantian. Although there was a lot of elemental spirit energy after being absorbed and refined by the black hole, it only transformed into a small ball of energy and entered the flower paste space, the only space that belonged to Qin Yu, which was 2 to 3 meters long and wide. After a while, Qin Yu calmed down and carefully sensed the speed at which he was absorbing elemental spirit energy. Qin Yu suddenly discovered a very strange thing. The devouring speed of his black hole was exactly 10 times faster than the devouring speed of the Jianglan's realm. As the master of the Jianglan's realm, Qin Yu naturally knew about the absorption speed of the Jianglan's realm. How could there be such a coincidence? Qin Yu was puzzled. Furthermore, why is the absorption speed of the black hole within my body even faster than the absorption speed of the Jianglan's realm? Qin Yu became even more puzzled. Qin Yu thought for a long time but was still unable to figure it out. However, Qin Yu instead heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Last time when I went from the late dark star realm to the early black hole realm, I had consumed so much golden immortal yuanying all at once. From the early black hole realm to the middle black hole realm, I'm afraid that I'll need even more energy. If I were to still rely on refining golden immortal yuanying, then I reckon that the amount of golden immortal yuanying in my blazing profound ring would not be enough. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. Qin Yu did not need to worry about the absorption and refinement of the black hole at all. He only needed to leave a trace of his consciousness. Right now, the speed at which the black hole in his dantian absorbed elemental spirit energy was not much slower than when Qin Yu refined golden immortal yuanying. Although the temperament of the elemental spirit energy was inferior to that of the golden immortal yuanying, the quantity made up for the difference in quality. About 6 hours later, Qin Yu felt a sense of pressure. The black hole contained too much energy, and the amount of spiritual power he could control had already reached a certain limit. The region within 2 to 3 meters of the flower paste space seems to have changed. Qin Yu could clearly sense that the energy on the other side was undergoing a rapid change. In just a moment, a golden halo that was much larger in size flew out from the other side of the black hole. When the golden halo reached 2/3 of the way through the black hole, it came to a halt. And then, the golden halo flashed with light, fusing together with the black hole. It was like a hoop that stabilized the black hole. Last time, when Qin Yu had reached the early black hole realm, a golden halo had flown out from 1/3 of the way through. This time, the golden halo was much larger, reaching 2/3 of the way through. 2 halos is the mid-black hole realm. 3 halos is the late black hole realm. Qin Yu guessed. Right at this moment, the 2 golden halos began to intertwine with each other. The energy of the 2 golden halos was constantly purifying and improving as they interacted. As for the black hole realm, it was slowly transforming. After a long time, everything calmed down. Qin Yu clenched his fists. He felt an unprecedented sense of comfort. 150 years of quiet training had allowed Qin Yu's body to reach a new level. Even if Qin Yu did not train, the elemental life force was constantly transforming Qin Yu's body. Right now, just by relying on my body, I am comparable to a level 8 or 9 golden immortal. This elemental life force is really strange. Not only does it have endless life force, it can also transform my body continuously. Qin Yu was puzzled about the elemental life force in his body. When he was in the mortal realm, he could casually infuse a little bit of elemental life force into an ordinary spirit pill to form the eternal creation pill. It could instantly restore the energy of a powerful loose devil. When he reached the immortal devil and demon realm, at that time, the sword immortal puppet was wounded by the green blood sword immortal Ji Bai. Even after using 9 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores, it could only heal 1/10 of the wound. However, a little bit of elemental life force was enough to completely heal the wound. A little bit of elemental life force was 10 times more effective than 9 pieces of top-grade elemental holy ores. What a miraculous energy! Qin Yu was very certain in his heart. This elemental life force was definitely an existence that surpassed immortal elemental energy, devil elemental energy and other types of energy. Otherwise, its effect would not be this abnormal. And this elemental life force was precisely flowing out from the mysterious Lu Xing's tear. As the owner of Lu Xing's tear, Qin Yu still did not know much about Lu Xing's tear. Even when controlling it, he only knew the simplest few functions. No longer thinking about it, Qin Yu continued to control the black hole in his dantian to absorb an endless amount of elemental holy energy. After all, he still had not reached the limit that Qin Yu could endure. Qin Yu continued to quietly train. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, a tornado of elemental holy energy was formed. After an entire 6 hours, Qin Yu finally felt a burst of pressure. He ought to have reached the limit of his soul. And after 6 hours of training, the energy of the 2 rings within the black hole had become even purer. From the early black hole stage to the middle black hole stage, I only needed 6 hours of training. And now I've also used 6 hours of training. Yet, it only made the middle black hole stage a bit more stable. The further I go, the more energy I'll need. Qin Yu stretched his body to the Zhonglan's realm that had already absorbed the elemental holy energy of the outside world for 15 years. The amount of elemental holy energy that he had absorbed for a total of 12 hours was merely a drop in the ocean. The speed at which a space absorbed the elemental holy energy of another space was simply not something that humans could compare with. Unless that person possessed a black hole like Qin Yu. Times it was currently night time on the nameless planet that Qin Yu was on. Cold mist filled the entire surface of the planet. In this sort of environment, ordinary life forms were simply unable to survive. This nameless planet also did not possess any interstellar conveying arrays. Only experts that had reached the level of Golden Immortal would be able to reach a planet like this. Within the boundless cold mist on the surface of the planet, a figure suddenly appeared. With long black hair fluttering in the wind, a black-clothed youth walked out from the cold mist. In his hand was a little green pagoda. At this moment, there were no longer any invisible whirlpools on the periphery of the nameless planet. The elemental holy energy within the Indigo Bay starfield had also returned to its previous chaotic state. It's been 15 years. Qin Yu looked at the enormous stars that filled the sky. He had a smile on his face. With my current strength, even if I'm no match for Emperor Yu and them, it's still not a problem for me to protect my life. Now it's time to find Xiao Hei, Fei and them. Qin Yu had now reached the middle black hole stage. His strength was close to that of a level 8 or 9 golden immortal. However, when combined with a blazing profound ring, divine sword Skypiercer, divine armor black frozen snow, as well as his valiant body that possessed the elemental life energy, Qin Yu was now able to fight against low-level immortal emperors. Unlike the past when he was unable to even get close to a level 1 immortal emperor sword immortal like Yu Qingzi. Before leaving, let's go and bid farewell to Big Brother Wu Ming first. With a movement of his body, Qin Yu used greater teleportation and directly arrived at the hidden Emperor Star from the nameless planet. Inside the hidden Emperor Star's East Star City. Inside Meng Hong's manor. To Ao Wu Ming, who had reached level 7 Demon Emperor, 100 years was merely a blink of an eye. Although Ao Wu Ming was considered a genius, he was still far inferior to a genius among geniuses like Jun Luoyu. The amount of time it took for Ao Wu Ming to reach level 7 Demon Emperor was still extremely long. This time around he was going to stay in the hidden Emperor Star for at least several hundred years. Ao Wu Ming and Meng Hong were casually sitting in the garden, drinking and chatting. Chatting about a certain expert from the immortal realm, chatting about a certain woman from the devil realm, chatting about a certain famous divine beast from the demon realm. How could the endless years tolerate them wasting time like this? Hey Wu Ming, how long do you think Qin Yu will be in seclusion for? Meng Hong suddenly asked. When Meng Hong and Wu Ming chatted, at least 5 out of 10 times, they would talk about Qin Yu's mysteries, Qin Yu's weapons and so on. This time around they were talking about those again. After all, they only had so many topics to talk about. Before he entered seclusion, he said that he would not be in seclusion for more than 50 years. However, it's only been 15 years now. I reckon that he will only come out of seclusion in another 10 or 20 years. Ao Wu Ming laughed. Immediately after, Ao Wu Ming asked puzzledly. Speaking of which, it's strange. The further one cultivates, the longer the time needed for seclusion. However, why did Qin Yu say that his seclusion this time around would be shorter than last time? His martial technique is special. Or perhaps, Qin Yu had already reached a breakthrough last time. Thus, it's not impossible for him to have only reached a breakthrough this time around. Meng Hong guessed. That's true. Come, let's drink. Ao Wu Ming raised his cup and drank with Meng Hong. Big Brother Wu Ming. A clear and cold voice resounded in the garden. However, this clear and cold voice contained a trace of joy. Ao Wu Ming was startled. He turned his head to look. Brother Qin Yu. Ao Wu Ming's face was filled with shock. Meng Hong also raised his head. When he saw Qin Yu coming from afar, his face was also filled with shock. Brother Qin Yu, didn't you only enter seclusion for 15 years? How did you come out of seclusion already? Ao Wu Ming and Meng Hong were both shocked that Qin Yu had only entered seclusion for 15 years. How could they have imagined that there was a divine tool that had a 10-to-1 time ratio between the internal space and the external space? 15 years is enough. Qin Yu said with a smile. Qin Yu, your martial technique is indeed strange. Under normal circumstances, even I am unable to see through your strength. I can only see through it when you are fighting. Ao Wu Ming sighed. Compared to before he entered seclusion, Ao Wu Ming was indeed unable to see through Qin Yu's strength under normal circumstances. Unless Qin Yu took the initiative to reveal it. After all, Qin Yu's soul had fused with Lu Xing's tear. As for the power within his body, it was within the black hole. Who would be able to discover it? Haha. Big brother Wu Ming, I have come to see you and bid farewell to you. Qin Yu directly spoke his purpose for coming. Bid farewell. Oh, Wu Ming was slightly shocked. That's right. I'm going to the demon realm. I had wanted to go since long ago. Now that the conditions have matured, I should also set off. Qin Yu said with a smile. That's good too. Ao Wu Ming nodded and said with a smile. When you go to the demon realm, if anyone tries to make things difficult for you, just send a transmission to me. In the demon realm, your big brother still has some ability. As one of the Grand Dragon Clan's 2 emperors, the Prince of the Dragon Clan, the future Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Clan, Ao Wu Ming's status in the demon realm was needless to say. Times beside the interstellar conveying array of the hidden Emperor Star. Qin Yu, Ao Wu Ming and the others were bidding farewell to each other. Ao Wu Ming, Lian Zhu and Meng Hong had come to send Qin Yu off. After they had said their goodbyes, Qin Yu bid farewell to his 3 good friends and stepped into the interstellar conveying array. Big brother Wu Ming, sister-in-law Lian Zhu, brother Meng Hong, farewell. Qin Yu stood in the interstellar conveying array and said with a clear voice. Soon after, misty rays of light shone from the interstellar conveying array. Qin Yu looked at these rays of light and understood in his heart that his journey to the demon realm had begun. Would he be able to pass through this journey peacefully? The rays of light dissipated and the interstellar conveying array returned to its normal appearance. Qin Yu had already been transported away. Let's go back. Ao Wu Ming had a slightly disappointed expression on his face. Another good brother had parted ways. When Ao Wu Ming, Lian Zhu, Meng Hong and the others were leaving, they did not notice that a few ordinary golden immortals had casually glanced over. These few people were Emperor Yu's intelligence personnel. Not only Emperor Yu. The Blood Devil Emperor who had been paying attention to Qin Yu and Ao Wu Ming's movements also knew that Qin Yu had left. He even knew where Qin Yu had been transported to through the interstellar conveying array. Chapter 364. Indigo Bay Star Field. At the interstellar conveying array of the core planet of the Morning Dew Galaxy, the Nine Dew Star, a magnificent radiance flashed past and a black-clothed youngster appeared in the interstellar conveying array. At the moment when the black-clothed youngster appeared, there were no less than 10 people in the surroundings who slightly noticed him. Lord, the target has arrived at the Nine Dew Star. Master, the target has arrived at the Nine Dew Star. At about the same time, several people transmitted messages to their leaders. Very soon, this news reached the final leaders, Emperor Yu, Xue Tianya and the others. On a planet of the Devil Realm near the Indigo Bay Starfield. A city on this planet was covered by boundless drizzle. The streets were also wet. At this moment, most of the cultivators were staying in their own residences. A white-clothed handsome man was walking on the street. He appeared as if he was untainted by the world of mortals. After taking the first step, the white-clothed handsome man's hair grew long until it reached his buttocks. After taking the second step, the white-clothed handsome man's body started to become slightly thinner and shorter. His appearance ought to be the appearance of the white-clothed handsome man when he was a teenager. After taking the third step, the white-clothed handsome man's clothes also turned red. The Blood Devil Emperor Xue Tianya had a habit. When he was truly prepared to kill someone, especially when he was determined to do so and was extremely serious, he would turn his white-clothed clothes into blood-red-colored clothes. The Blood Devil Emperor normally wore white clothes. Once he wore red clothes, it was time for him to kill. Has he arrived at the Nine Dew Star? Xue Tianya was not anxious. With his strength as the Blood Devil Emperor, he had people on some of the main planets. No matter where Qin Yu went, he would be discovered. Unless Qin Yu immediately used greater teleportation to escape. However, Qin Yu clearly still did not discover that someone was monitoring him. Father. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Xue Tianya. It was precisely the Devil Emperor Xue Yi. Father, why did you call me over? Seeing his father's appearance, the Devil Emperor Xue Yi was greatly shocked. Father, you're actually wearing blood-red clothes and looking so serious. Who are you going to kill? Furthermore, you've even changed your appearance. Xue Tianya said with a light smile. Your enemy. My enemy. Who among my enemies is worthy of Father's solemn attack? Devil Emperor Xue Yi carefully pondered for a bit. The majority of his enemies were within the devil realm. He was unable to think of anyone within the devil realm who was worthy of Xue Tianya's serious attention. Xue Tianya's gaze shot towards the northwest direction. The person who killed your disciple. Father, did you say Qin Yu? Xue Yi was greatly shocked. Soon after, he looked at Xue Tianya solemnly. Father, Qin Yu killed this slave. I must personally find him and take revenge. Can you kill him? Xue Tianya asked back. Xue Yi was slightly stunned. He knew that Qin Yu was far weaker than him. However, not only did Qin Yu have a divine battlesuit, but there was also something strange about the inside of his body. Even when he was at his peak, he was still able to kill Qin Yu without dying. Now that he was under the Hermit Emperor's control, he could only use half of his strength. How could he possibly kill Qin Yu? Furthermore, this matter is of great importance. No matter what, I must personally take action. Because if I were to fail, it would be a great loss to both of us. I absolutely cannot allow failure. Xue Tianya's voice was indifferent. However, his lips were slightly pursed. The gaze he shot out showed his unshakable determination. Xue Yi heard Xue Tianya's determination. He could only nod his head. Father, when are you going to take action? In a while, Xue Tianya said with a smile. Currently, Qin Yu is unceasingly teleporting from one planet to another. While he is continuously teleporting, it will be hard for me to kill him. Therefore, I must wait for him to stop at a certain planet to rest before taking action. Alright, Xue Yi, go back and properly train. During the period of time that I am away, if you have any matters, you can go and find your martial uncle. Xue Tianya instructed. Yes, father. Xue Yi nodded his head. Xue Tianya lightly smiled. Soon after, he continued to slowly walk on the street in the rain. Indigo Bay Starfield, Silver Stream Galaxy, Red Leaf Star, Jade Sword School's headquarters. In a certain living room of the Jade Sword School, 3 people were sitting cross-legged. One of the 3 was the Jade Sword School's sect master, Yu Qingzi. As for the other 2, one was the level 7 Immortal Emperor, Green-Blooded Sword Immortal Ji Bai. As for the last remaining person, he was the purple-gowned Emperor Yu, who was sitting at the head of the living room. Yu Qingzi, you can leave first. Ji Bai said to Yu Qingzi, who was beside him, with a smile. Yes, your majesty. This subordinate will take his leave first. Yu Qingzi very tactfully bowed to Emperor Yu and then quietly left the living room. Yu Qingzi, who walked out of the living room, had a face filled with confusion. Your majesty actually personally came to my place. Even Immortal Emperor Ji Bai has come. It seems that an extraordinary matter is about to happen. Yu Qingzi was merely the weakest amongst the 36 rulers under Emperor Yu. As for the green-blooded sword immortal Ji Bai, he was the strongest amongst the 18 emperors under Emperor Yu. For Emperor Yu and Ji Bai to appear here at the same time, one could imagine how important this matter was. In the living room. Your Majesty, will it be fine for you to take action by yourself this time? Why don't I take action together with your Majesty? That Qin Yu's body's defense is very strange. It would be difficult to kill him in an instant. Up till now, Immortal Emperor Ji Bai still did not know that the one who was hit by his 2 sword beams on Blue Firestar was a sword immortal puppet. He always thought that it was Qin Yu himself. No need. Even if I have 2 sets of divine armor, I am confident that I can kill him. Emperor Yu said with a faint smile. Ji Bai's heart shook. How powerful was Emperor Yu? Ji Bai did not know. However, since Emperor Yu was able to become one of the 3 great leaders of the immortal realm, he must have some powerful trump cards. Then I will wait for your Majesty's good news in Red Leaf Star. Ji Bai said with a smile. Jibai, don't worry. As long as I obtain the 10,000 Beasts Atlas and open the third layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, my power will definitely surpass the other two and become the absolute #1 power in the immortal realm. Moreover, if I obtain the painting of the bewitching god, not only will I benefit, you will also benefit from it. Emperor Yu said with a smile. I believe that in the future it will be of great help. When Ji Bai thought of the painting of the bewitching god, a trace of yearning appeared on his face. The painting of the bewitching god, from ancient times until now, the only one who truly possessed it was the immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Back then, the immortal Emperor Ni Yang was only an ordinary immortal emperor. However, after obtaining the painting of the bewitching god, he turned over a new leaf. Not only did his strength increase by leaps and bounds, he also obtained a powerful divine weapon. In one fell swoop, he became the most powerful person in the immortal realm. Even Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor had to admit that they were slightly inferior to the immortal Emperor Ni Yang. The painting of the bewitching god was known as the #1 treasure in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Its value was without a doubt. Your Majesty, when will you act? Ji Bai asked. Emperor Yu said with a smile. Currently, Qin Yu has just reached the border of the Indigo Bay star field. I have already ordered people to stop the interstellar conveying array at the border of the Indigo Snow star field and announce that it will be repaired for a day. When he reaches there, I estimate that Qin Yu will have to stop and rest for a period of time. Your Majesty's move is indeed brilliant. Ji Bai also had a smile on his face. Emperor Yu's plan was very good. In the universe, the dangers between two planets are not great. However, the distance between two galaxies is relatively far and the danger is also relatively greater. As for the distance between two star fields, the distance is extremely large. There are even terrifying energies like the cosmic fragmentary golden stream. Furthermore, even if one were to rely on greater teleportation, with the distance between two star fields, who knows how many greater teleportations he would have to use. Furthermore, who knows when he would encounter cosmic turbulence or something like that. Therefore, Emperor Yu believed that there was a 90% chance that Qin Yu would stay at the Indigo Snow star field to rest for a day. Times on the border of the Indigo Bay star field, the Indigo Snow star field, the Indigo Snow star field. As the planet at the border of the Indigo Bay star field, the passenger flow of the Indigo Snow star was extremely large. It even surpassed the hidden Emperor star. Similarly, the size of the entire planet was also extremely large. It was comparable to top-grade planets like the hidden Emperor star and the Indigo Fire star. Indigo Snow star, interstellar conveying array. My apologies, the two interstellar conveying arrays of my Indigo Snow star that lead to the immortal realm need to be repaired today. If you want to use the interstellar conveying arrays, please come back tomorrow. A golden immortal in charge of the interstellar conveying arrays said respectfully. What a coincidence, Qin Yu said helplessly. He looked at the two largest interstellar conveying arrays in the distance. There were currently 5 or 6 golden immortals carefully repairing the two interstellar conveying arrays. These two interstellar conveying arrays were able to send people from the border of the Indigo Bay star field to the immortal realm. With such an outstanding function, the various kinds of crystals, formations and so on were also extremely complicated. Every 1 or 2 years they would need to be repaired. Today was the repair day. Forget it, going to the immortal realm is not that urgent in these 1 or 2 days. I still do not have the ability to cross the border between two star fields using greater teleportation. Qin Yu turned around and walked out of the interstellar conveying arrays. He directly flew toward the largest city of the Indigo Snow star. Since he was temporarily unable to leave, it would be good for him to take a stroll around the border of this star field. Times inside the Jade Sword sect of the Red Leaf star. Alright, Qin Yu has already arrived at the Indigo Snow star. Just as I expected. He has already entered the city of the Indigo Snow star to take a stroll. Emperor Yu's face was filled with smiles. Everything was within his calculations. As he spoke, Qin Yu had already stood up. At the same time, The purple gown on his body suddenly turned into a blue gown. Even his figure and appearance had changed. With a flick of a finger, the Emperor Yu that gave people a good impression of him turned into a blue-clothed and cold, robust man. His eyes were as frightening as lightning. With such an appearance, it was hard for people to imagine that this was Emperor Yu. Your Majesty, why did you change your appearance when you went to kill that Qin Yu? Are you still afraid of that Qin Yu? Ji Bai was puzzled when he saw the scene in front of him. Emperor Yu shook his head and smiled. Ji Bai, you don't understand. Although this Qin Yu is only an ordinary person, there are many people behind him. Ji Bai was slightly startled. Let's talk about the dragon race's Ao Wuming, who has an extremely good relationship with Qin Yu. Ao Wuming will be the dragon emperor in the future. Even now, no matter if it's strength or status, Ao Wuming is not inferior to me, said Emperor Yu with certainty. Ji Bai nodded. He and Xue Yiling teamed up to fight Ao Wuming, yet there was still such a large gap between them. Ao Wuming's strength could be imagined. Other than Ao Wuming, there are also several people behind Qin Yu. For example, Jiang Yan, who has a good relationship with him. If Jiang Yan were to know that I killed Qin Yu, with how much Granny Yinhua dotes on Jiang Yan, it's possible that Granny Yinhua might really go against us, said Emperor Yu with a trace of helplessness. Granny Yinhua, this abnormal super expert. He had never heard of her before. He only found out about her recently. Emperor Yu was very clear that the gap between himself and Granny Yinhua was extremely large. He even suspected that Granny Yinhua should be a super expert who had passed the divine tribulation and was about to ascend to the divine realm. Other than Ao Wuming and possibly Granny Yinhua, there's also Qin Yu's sect, said Emperor Yu with a puzzled expression. Ji Bai couldn't help but nod. That's right. Ji Bai's face also had a puzzled expression. This Qin Yu's sect is very strange. They have strength that surpasses golden immortals yet easily appear in the mortal realm. There's also the legendary Uncle Lon. I'm also not sure if the information sent by that brat Hua Yan is true or false. Unfortunately, he is now dead. According to the information sent by Hua Yan, Emperor Yu and Ji Bai were very puzzled about the sect behind Qin Yu. Qin Yu, Lon Feng, and Uncle Lon. These were the people that had just appeared from this mysterious sect. Qin Yu's strength wasn't considered strong. Lon Feng was at least a few levels golden immortal. As for Uncle Lon, he was even stronger. How did these people come to the mortal realm? No matter if it's the people on the surface or the sect behind Qin Yu, I don't want to cause any trouble. You also know that Qin Yu's defense is exceptional. Killing him is a bit troublesome. I don't want Qin Yu to spread the news of me killing him before he dies, said Emperor Yu with a slight smile. Then this subordinate will quietly await your Majesty's good news. Ji Bai cupped his hands. Emperor Yu nodded and then disappeared from the living room. Not only Emperor Yu, even Xue Tianya, who had always sent people to monitor Qin Yu, also received news that Qin Yu was staying on Blue Snow Star. He also immediately rushed to Blue Snow Star. On the streets of Blue Snow Star, Qin Yu was currently walking on the streets with ease. This street was paved with black squarish rocks. The sideways street was paved with 6 squarish rocks side by side. These squarish rocks were nearly 4 meters long and wide. Such large squarish rocks, with 6 squarish rocks laid out in a row. This street was really neat. Qin Yu was also walking very comfortably. The layout of this Blue Snow Star is very strict. There aren't even stalls on the side of the street, only shops. It looks very symmetrical and orderly. Qin Yu looked all around and made this evaluation in his heart. As a border transit planet, Blue Snow Star's population was undoubtedly very high. It was also very prosperous. On the streets there were groups of 2s and 3s. Experts from various realms could be seen everywhere. Golden immortals, devil kings can be seen everywhere. I even found a profound immortal. Qin Yu's sensitive immortal awareness paid attention to the strength of the people around him. Suddenly, Qin Yu's body slightly shook. He saw a person. A red-clothed youth with long black hair that reached his hips. His entire person was very cold. Even stronger than white-haired blood devil Xue Yiling. Qin Yu's heart trembled. Level 8 Devil Emperor. How many experts of this level are there in the devil realm? Who is he? That red-clothed youth didn't seem to see Qin Yu. However, he continued to walk forward. Because he and Qin Yu were walking opposite each other, the distance between the two was rapidly closing. Chapter 365. Qin Yu's entire concentration was raised to the limit, ready to counterattack at any time. Although his gaze did not land on that red-haired youngster, Qin Yu's immortal sense had spread out and everything was within his observation. Facing a level 8 Devil Emperor, Qin Yu did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. Who is he? Black Devil Emperor, Azura Devil Emperor, or that Xue Tianya? For a moment, Qin Yu was unable to determine who the person in front of him was. Although he barely managed to use his sensitive immortal sense to discover that the opponent's strength was stronger than Xue Yiling, he was unable to discover the energy hidden within the opponent's body. At this moment, the distance between the two was about 10 square rocks. Furthermore, the distance between them was constantly shrinking. That red-haired youngster's gaze was ice-cold. He only looked ahead and did not look at Qin Yu, who was diagonally in front of him. His pace was neither fast nor slow. I have never seen Azura Devil Emperor or Black Devil Emperor before. They have also never seen me before. They shouldn't have any ill intentions towards me. Qin Yu pondered in his heart. Could it be that Xue Yi told Xue Tianya that I have a divine sword and 2 divine battle armors? This Xue Tianya has the intention to kill me and steal my treasures. Qin Yu guessed in his heart. Qin Yu immediately came to the conclusion that this was extremely possible. A divine sword and 2 divine battle armors were enough to make a level 8 Devil Emperor's eyes turn red. I also only have a divine battle armor. That Xue Yi thought that the sword immortal puppet's defense was strong and that my doppelganger also had a divine battle armor. I really feel a bit wronged. Looks like things are not going well. On the surface, Qin Yu was still walking at a leisurely pace. He did not dare to immediately flee. After all, it was still hard to say if the opponent was targeting him. Only a level 8 Devil Emperor. Qin Yu believed that he was a threat to his safety. Back then, the energy that a level 6 Devil Emperor transmitted into his body almost caused his black hole to be unable to withstand it. Although his strength had increased, the opponent was still a level 8 Devil Emperor. While Qin Yu was letting his imagination run wild, Xue Tianya was also feeling a bit excited. No matter how good his cultivation was, when facing the divine battle armor Black Frozen Snow, the 10,000 Beasts Atlas and most importantly the painting of the bewitching god, he was unable to maintain his calm. Qin Yu, even until your death, you probably won't know who killed you. You're still in the mood to shop. Xue Tianya sneered in his heart. His devil sense had already carefully observed everything in the surroundings. Even though his eyes were not looking at Qin Yu, he was still able to clearly see Qin Yu's expression and movements. Even now, Xue Tianya still believed that Qin Yu couldn't recognize him. Xue Tianya was not wrong. After all, in order to discover the other party, one must at least have a higher soul realm than the other party. Qin Yu's soul realm was a whole level lower than Xue Tianya's. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have discovered it at all. Unfortunately, Lu Xing's tears made Qin Yu's soul more compatible with heaven and earth, making it more sensitive. Even if it was a level 8 Devil Emperor, Qin Yu was still able to vaguely sense it. The distance between the two of them shortened again, and now there were only 6 square rocks between them. Xue Tianya still did not attack. This moment was not the best distance for him to unleash his killing move. The best distance for him to unleash the strongest power of his killing move was around 10 meters. 5 square rocks. 4 square rocks. The distance between the two of them was getting closer. The energy in Shui Tianya's entire body began to accumulate. It had already reached the point where it could explode. As long as he reached the most optimal position, he had the confidence to kill Qin Yu with a single move. The strongest move, the strongest power. Qin Yu felt a kind of pressure. That pressure had completely filled Qin Yu's heart. His back was slowly sweating. However, before the sweat could even wet his clothes, it was already evaporated by Qin Yu using his power. Nervousness. As the two of them got closer, Qin Yu's heart became even more nervous. The ice-cold red-haired youngster suddenly turned his head to look at Qin Yu. That gaze was like a sharp arrow that pierced through Qin Yu's heart. Qin Yu's heart twitched. Not good. He really wants to kill me. Qin Yu's pupils shrunk. With just this sudden gaze, Qin Yu finally determined with certainty that this mysterious level 8 Devil Emperor was here to kill him. Bang! 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 Suddenly, a burst of strange footsteps sounded on the street. Those footsteps caused the people on the street to be unable to help but feel a burst of distraction. Even Shui Tianya, who had reached his most optimal attacking state, was affected. Qin Yu's soul had merged with Lu Xing's tear. However, he was not affected much. His immortal awareness naturally began to observe the place where the sound came from. A blue-clothed robust man was currently walking over step by step. His footsteps on the street gave off completely different footsteps. This person was precisely Emperor Yu. Never would I have thought that Shui Tianya would be one step ahead of me. When Emperor Yu had just arrived at the Blue Snow Star and chased after Qin Yu, he discovered someone whose strength was on par with him. At the same time, he also sensed the opponent's unique aura, the aura of a Blood Devil Path Cultivator. Level 8 Devil Emperor, Blood Devil Path Cultivator. Other than the Blood Devil Emperor Shui Tianya, who else could it be? It's you. Shui Tianya looked at Emperor Yu and said to him via Devil Awareness voice transmission. Emperor Yu, your heavenly sound technique is getting more and more powerful. Those footsteps just happened to sound when I was at the peak of storing power, causing me to be unable to use this technique perfectly. Shui Tianya said via Devil Awareness voice transmission. Clearly, he did not want Qin Yu to know that the blue-clothed robust man was Emperor Yu. Shui Tianya, your speed is also pretty fast. You actually managed to rush over so quickly. Emperor Yu also said via Devil Awareness voice transmission. Emperor Yu and Shui Tianya both had a tacit understanding. They both pointed out each other's identity. Clearly, they were both secretly warning each other. Do not reveal my identity. Otherwise, everyone's identity would be known by Qin Yu. Both Emperor Yu and Shui Tianya knew that there were some powerful people behind Qin Yu. They did not wish for trouble. Therefore, they both concealed their identities and changed their appearances without prior consultation. Another expert. An immortal even more powerful than the green-blooded sword immortal. He should be a level 8 immortal emperor. Qin Yu felt bitter in his heart. However, he did not dare to move at all. Emperor Yu and Shui Tianya, one from the front and one from the back, completely surrounded Qin Yu. At the same time, the two of them made their preparations and were able to unleash their strongest attack at any time. Qin Yu was worried that if he moved, these two great experts would join hands and attack him. Although his defense was strong, when faced with the joint attack of these two super experts, Qin Yu did not have any confidence in himself. Qin Yu's forehead began to sweat. At this moment, Qin Yu did not even bother to disguise himself anymore. That was because ever since Emperor Yu used the heavenly sound technique, Shui Tianya no longer concealed his true intentions. Emperor Yu and Shui Tianya confronted each other with Qin Yu sandwiched between them. The two of them did not have any certainty in defeating the other party and killing Qin Yu. As for the cultivators on the street, they all felt a terrifying pressure and began to rapidly flee. Fair competition, said Emperor Yu via Devil Awareness voice transmission. It belongs to whoever manages to snatch it, said Shui Tianya via Devil Awareness voice transmission. The two of them looked at each other. Neither of them looked at Qin Yu. However, Qin Yu did not dare to move at all. Boom! Boom! Emperor Yu's and Xue Tianya's bodies suddenly exploded with terrifying energy. One was purple and the other was blood red. With them as the center, these two energies frantically spread out in all directions. Wherever the energy passed, the streets cracked open. Countless buildings collapsed and turned into broken rocks. Countless cultivators in the distance all exploded. Yuanying also exploded. Within a circumference of close to 10,000 meters. Within 10,000 meters, it was deathly silent. And beyond 10,000 meters, not even an ordinary cultivator was harmed in the slightest. Clearly, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya's control over their energy was extremely exceptional. And within 10,000 meters, it was more or less enough for the two of them to display their skills. Two freaks. They're much stronger than Xue Yiling and Ji Bai. Qin Yu, who was in the center, had unspeakable bitterness. The energy just now did not affect him much. Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya also knew that Qin Yu would not die so easily. Who are you guys? Qin Yu turned his body and looked at Xue Tianya and Emperor Yu on his left and right. At this time, he could no longer continue to pretend that he did not notice the other party. The blue-clothed robust man and the red-haired youngster did not even glance at Qin Yu. You guys are staring at each other. I don't have time to waste with you guys. Qin Yu said with a clear voice. Immediately after, his body moved and shot towards the sky. When Qin Yu spoke, the two of them still did not look at Qin Yu. However, when Qin Yu moved, the two of them both attacked. Whoosh! A profound ice short sword suddenly shot towards Qin Yu from the red-haired youngster's hand. While it was flying, the profound ice short sword actually changed from transparent to blood red. Boom! A huge hammer smashed down towards Qin Yu's head. However, when Qin Yu shot towards the sky, he instantly changed direction and rushed towards the underground. Qin Yu did not think that he would be able to escape so easily. Therefore, he had already planned to do so. The short sword that had already turned blood red collided with the huge hammer. Trying to escape? The blue-clothed robust man had a trace of disdain on his face. Qin Yu, no one has been able to escape from me. Thunder Hammer Immortal Emperor. The blue-clothed robust man's voice resonated through the entire blue snow star. Thunder Hammer, Qin Yu's little life belongs to me. Ice Sword Devil Emperor. No one can take it away from me. Another ice-cold voice also sounded. While the voice was still resonating through the heaven and earth, the two people who spoke had already disappeared. When Qin Yu escaped into the underground, the two of them had already chased after him. Times in the depths of the blue snow stars underground, in the endless blazing magma, Qin Yu was once again surrounded by the two people. The two of you are Thunder Hammer Immortal Emperor, right? Ice Sword Devil Emperor, right? Qin Yu could only stop running. I don't think I have any enmity with you. At this moment, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya didn't want to say any more. Earlier, they were merely disguising themselves. At this moment, Qin Yu also felt helpless. These two experts who called themselves Thunder Hammer Immortal Emperor and Ice Sword Devil Emperor had already unleashed their domains. Although the space seemed stable, Qin Yu knew that if he teleported, he would definitely die. Hiding in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Even Xue Yiling was able to discover the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, and even if he spent some time, he could break through the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Not to mention these two who were even stronger than Xue Yiling. Hide in the Zhonglan's realm. Qin Yu had a plan in mind, but this was his final trump card. Qin Yu was worried that the transformation of the Zhonglan's realm would be seen through by these two experts. Once they saw through it, even if Emperor Yu and them were unable to destroy the Zhonglan's realm, they would still be able to capture Qin Yu. However, it was also very possible that they would place the Zhonglan's realm within some great formation array. Even if Qin Yu were to come out, he would still not be able to escape. Thus, until the final moment, Qin Yu still did not want to escape into the Zhonglan's realm. He who strikes first gains the advantage. Right after Emperor Yu intercepted Qin Yu, he immediately attacked. Boom! A sledgehammer flickering with lightning suddenly appeared beside Qin Yu and ruthlessly smashed towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu rapidly dodged. Seeing this scene, Xue Tianya also grew anxious. Fuck, I'll stake it all. Qin Yu clenched his teeth. That sledgehammer flickering with lightning carried an endless amount of power and ruthlessly smashed onto Qin Yu's body. With a gotcha sound, Qin Yu's chest caved in. Pfff. Blood spurted out. Qin Yu powerlessly fell to the side. Emperor Yu's eyes shined. No matter how strong your defense is, when faced with such a pure power attack, the Yuanying in your body must have been severely injured. When faced with a pure power attack, even with the defense of the divine armor, a lot of that power was still transmitted into the body. Soon after, Emperor Yu attacked again. Kill him while he's weak. In your dreams. How could Xue Tianya possibly allow Emperor Yu to kill Qin Yu and seize his treasures? It was the bewitching god painting. For the bewitching god painting, Xue Tianya was willing to unleash his strongest battle power and kill Emperor Yu at all costs. The blue snow star was completely peaceful. Suddenly, boom! The surface of the ground suddenly exploded. A thick red ray of light rushed out from the surface of the ground. Soon after, rays of light shot out from the surface of the ground one after another. Utter chaos. Not only were there bloody red rays of light, there were also endless blue electric rays. The red rays and blue rays of light turned into numerous roaming dragons that spread throughout the blue snow star. In a blink of an eye, a quarter of the blue snow star's surface was completely destroyed. Not only the surface, even the interior of the Earth's crust was destroyed. Even the magma had rushed up. It was a scene of destruction. When countless cultivators saw this scene, their hearts trembled. Who exactly is fighting underground? Every cultivator's face was filled with fear. If they were to be affected by such a battle, they would undoubtedly die. And at this moment underground, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were certain that after Qin Yu was seriously injured, they disregarded everything and wanted to snatch away Qin Yu first. Because of that, an unprecedented battle broke out. The charm of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas and the bewitching god painting caused these two great experts to reveal their trump cards one after another. The space was distorted. Within the distorted space of the battle, the magma was even ionized and turned into mist. Soon after, it was frozen into ice. All kinds of chaotic energies were unceasingly vibrating. Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were frantically attacking each other. Both of them wanted to obtain the bewitching god painting. For the sake of the bewitching god painting, the two of them used all of their trump cards. The energies were frantically wreaking havoc. And during the battle, the two of them were also paying attention to Qin Yu. They were confident that Qin Yu would not be able to escape under their watch. That hammer strike was truly powerful. Fortunately, it didn't hit my abdomen. Qin Yu was in a corner of the distorted space. Although that hammer strike was powerful, Qin Yu's origin life force was also very fast in recovering. Their immortal awareness and devil awareness are both paying attention to me. With such a berserk energy, there's no way to dodge. There's no other way, I can only use my final move. Qin Yu finally made his decision. As Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya attacked each other, a berserk energy spread out and reached Qin Yu. Qin Yu was disappeared by this energy. That's right. When this energy hit Qin Yu, it disappeared Qin Yu. Coincidentally, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya both stopped fighting. Their immortal awareness and devil awareness frantically spread out. In an instant, they covered the entire blue snow star and even the planets surrounding the blue snow star. Why is it gone? Emperor Yu's expression changed. That's right, the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Xue Tianya's heart moved. He has the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. The Qingyu Immortal Mansion must have transformed into something and hidden itself. Xue Tianya's long hair was fluttering in the wind. His eyes were bright and full of expression as he looked at every inch of his surroundings. His devil awareness was also carefully scanning through every substance. As for the berserk energy and magma, they were spiraling around Shwetenya and Emperor Yu. However, they were unable to approach the two of them in the slightest. Chapter 366. Emperor Yu and Shwetenya immediately determined that Qin Yu was hiding in the Qingyu immortal mansion. After all, in that sort of situation, it was impossible to escape using teleportation or greater teleportation. In the depths of the blue snow star, Emperor Yu and Shwetenya were standing in the middle of the magma. The roaring magma was at most an inch away from them. No matter if it was their clothes or their long hair, the magma was unable to approach them in the slightest. The two of them were motionless. His devil sense and immortal sense carefully searched every place, every mountain, every piece of sand, every speck of dust, and even every particle in the fog. At the beginning, Emperor Yu and Shwetenya were very calm. They did not believe that someone who had not even reached the emperor level would be able to escape. They carefully searched and were confident that they would be able to capture Qin Yu. However, after half a day, Emperor Yu and Shwetenya gradually had a trace of anxiety on their faces. A day later, gone. Emperor Yu's face was filled with disbelief. At the same time, he looked to Shwetenya beside him. Shwetenya, did you discover? Shwetenya turned around and looked to Emperor Yu. I didn't discover. Feng Yu, if it wasn't for you coming to cause trouble, I would have already killed this Qin Yu. Shwetenya's words contained a trace of anger. The bewitching god painting and 10,000 beasts atlas were about to be in his hands. However, because of Feng Yu, he did not succeed. Emperor Yu coldly humphed. He had already sent people to monitor Qin Yu when he appeared in the Amber Moonstar. Among the big shots of the immortal devil and demon realm, he was definitely the first to discover Qin Yu. If one were to talk about unwillingness in his heart, then Emperor Yu would be the most unwilling. Shwetenya, treasures like the bewitching god painting and 10,000 beasts atlas are not that easy to obtain. We can only hope to obtain the bewitching god painting and 10,000 beasts atlas if we work together to capture Qin Yu. Hearing what Emperor Yu said, Shwetenya slightly frowned. He then indifferently nodded and said, "But how do we find him?" Emperor Yu lightly smiled and said, "Rest assured, in that situation earlier, no matter what, it would be impossible for Qin Yu to escape using greater teleportation. He only has one method, and that is to enter the Qingyu immortal mansion." Shwetenya nodded to express his agreement. As for the illusion restriction of the Qingyu immortal mansion, I've seen it before when immortal Emperor Anyang was still alive. Although it's mysterious, it shouldn't have escaped my detection. However, we haven't discovered it yet. Shwetenya interrupted. Emperor Yu nodded and said solemnly, "That's right. The two of us searched carefully but didn't find anything. Then, there's only one possibility." Immortal Emperor Anyang had improved the illusion restriction after that. That's the only reason. Shwetenya agreed. How could Emperor Yu and Shwetenya possibly imagine that Qin Yu possessed a spatial divine artifact, a divine artifact that even people could enter? After all, that kind of divine weapon was something that even Emperor Yu had never seen or heard of. They didn't believe that Qin Yu could have obtained such an amazing divine tool. Even if the illusion restriction has been improved and it's hard for us to discover it in a short period of time, there's one thing that's absolutely certain. That Qin Yu is definitely not far from us. Emperor Yu deduced. Shwetenya's eyes lit up. Almost at the same time, Shwetenya and Emperor Yu both released their respective domains. The magma and ores within a circumference of several hundred miles all shook. They were already within the domains of the two great experts. The fine granules of the magma were all destroyed and turned into nothingness. Even the hardest ores were shattered and turned into nothingness. If there was an object that was transformed from the Qingyu immortal mansion, then it would definitely not be shattered. It wasn't through investigation, but rather through the elimination technique. With a flick of the finger, Everything within a circumference of several hundred miles was turned into nothingness. There was only a very small ore left. There's one. Emperor Yu flipped his hand, and a ore that wasn't shattered from 100 miles away was shot over with lightning speed. It's mine. Xue Tianya discovered this hard or almost at the same time. He also released a claw-shaped energy to grab that ore. The two energies grabbed onto the ore at the same time. The two of them fought over it with all their might. Bang! The small ore that couldn't endure the two energies fighting over it exploded. So it really is a sulfur rock. Emperor Yu sighed and said with a smile. Xue Tianya also laughed at himself. Sulfur rock. Earlier, they had thought that it was transformed from the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Everything that had happened earlier told them that it was impossible for that to be the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. How could the Grand Immortal Emperor and Aiyang's Qingyu Immortal Mansion be so weak? Xue Tianya, farewell. Emperor Yu clasped his hands and said. Xue Tianya said indifferently. Farewell. The two of them turned into two rays of light and shot out from the underground at the same time. Although the two of them had left the underground, neither of them had left the blue snow star. That was because the two of them were certain that Qin Yu was definitely hiding somewhere on the blue snow star. The two super experts had both stayed on the blue snow star. Even their devil awareness and immortal awareness had completely covered the blue snow star without stopping for even a moment. Once Qin Yu came out from the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, these two people would definitely discover him. Times magma sprayed out from the shattered surface. A lot of it even directly rushed into the river. In the end, it turned into ice-cold rocks. As for Qin Yu's Zhonglan's realm, it had turned into a drop of magma and rushed into the river. Following the surging of the river, Qin Yu's Zhonglan's realm turned into an ordinary grain of sand and sank to the bottom of the river. Last time, when Qin Yu was discovered by the level 7 Devil Emperor, white-haired blood devil Xue Yiling, it was because the air particles of Qin Yu's immortal mansion did not explode or flow when Xue Yiling exploded his energy. That was why Xue Yiling discovered the uniqueness of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. And this time, Qin Yu had turned the Zhonglan's realm into a magma-like magma and rushed into the river along with the magma. As for Xue Tianya and Emperor Yu, they only started to search the surroundings several hundred miles a day later. At that time, Qin Yu's Zhonglan's realm had already sunk into the river. Inside the first layer space of the Zhonglan's realm, the surface of the Zhonglan's realm was filled with boundless land. Because of the abundance of elemental spirit energy, many plants and flowers grew on the land of the Zhonglan's realm. It was filled with endless vitality. And currently, Qin Yu was standing on the grassland of the Zhonglan's realm as he looked at the boundless space of the Zhonglan's realm. Qin Yu understood that with the temperaments of Xue Tianya and Emperor Yu, they would definitely not leave so easily. They would definitely be carefully monitoring from outside. Furthermore, Qin Yu was also able to sense that strands of immortal awareness and devil awareness were unceasingly flowing through the grain of sand that the Zhonglan's realm had turned into. The transformation ability of the Zhonglan's realm was indeed extraordinary. Even if Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were to join hands, they were still unable to sense where the Zhonglan's realm was. Their immortal awareness and devil awareness had already searched for the grain of sand that was the Zhonglan's realm more than once. However, they still only treated it as an ordinary grain of sand. I am truly not cautious enough. Qin Yu carefully recalled his actions in this period of time. He shook his head and smiled. Level 8 Immortal Emperor. Level 8 Devil Emperor. The two great giants were monitoring from outside. Regarding this, Qin Yu did not really care. If he were to restrain his soul's power and completely merge it with Lu Xing's tear and not use the energy within his body, even Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya would definitely not be able to detect him. If I don't use the energy within my body, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya would definitely not be able to detect me. However, if I were to leave the Zhonglan's realm and leave the blue snow star, would I be able to not use my energy the entire time? Qin Yu was a bit worried. If he were to immediately leave the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu must not use the slightest bit of energy. If he were to use it, then Emperor Yu and them would discover him. Even if I do not use the slightest bit of energy, when I enter the interstellar conveying array, Emperor Yu and them would also be surprised to discover that the interstellar conveying array that I am using is operating. However, they are unable to detect the aura of anyone inside. They would definitely be suspicious. Qin Yu was able to imagine that situation. The interstellar conveying array was operating, but there was no one inside. This sort of situation was completely unreasonable. If Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were to discover this situation, then they would likely directly teleport there. Even if he was able to teleport out, then it was likely that Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya would order their people to surround and attack Qin Yu from the other side of the interstellar conveying array and intercept Qin Yu. After that, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya would chase after him. Therefore, this would also not work. There's another method. It's a bit more troublesome. Qin Yu thought of all the possible scenarios. This method was: Qin Yu would not use the slightest bit of energy after leaving the interstellar conveying array. However, at a certain moment, he would suddenly use greater teleportation to another planet. Even if Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were to discover it, how would they know where Qin Yu was? Although this method was not bad, but if Qin Yu wanted to go to the demon realm, the shortest distance would be through the immortal realm. If he were to go through the devil realm, then he would have to take a big detour. From the Indigo Bay star field to the immortal realm and then to the demon realm. This Indigo Snow Star was one of the two great transit planets from the Indigo Bay star field to the immortal realm. After he left, he would be able to depart from the other transit planet. However, if he were to do this, how could Emperor Yu and them not think of it? It was likely that either Emperor Yu or Xue Tianya would directly wait for him on the other transit planet. What should I do? If I were to leave now, it would be unrealistic to go to the immortal realm through the transit planet. Could it be that I have to take a detour from the devil realm? Qin Yu was pondering in his heart. Qin Yu had never thought of directly using greater teleportation to go from the Indigo Bay starfield to the immortal realm. There was an extremely long distance between the two starfields that did not have any celestial bodies. This distance was so large that it exceeded the length of a galaxy. Although there were no large celestial bodies in this part of the universe, there were some frightening and dangerous energies. To directly use greater teleportation to advance continuously, even Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya would not dare to do such a crazy thing. Qin Yu had subconsciously eliminated this method. Currently, there were only two safe paths in front of Qin Yu. The first path, after leaving, he would directly use greater teleportation to another planet. Then he would change his appearance and conceal his aura to go to the devil realm. Then he would take a big detour to go to the demon realm. The second path, wait. Wait until Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya lost their patience and thought that Qin Yu had already left the Indigo Snow Star. Qin Yu would depart again. Which path should he choose? I should first solve the problem of the method of attack and then consider which path to take. Qin Yu shook his head. For the time being, he did not consider which path to take. First, solve the problem of the method of attack during battle. Method of attack. Qin Yu's weakness. When he was fighting against Yu Qingzi, Immortal Lord Qianqi, and even when he was fighting against experts like Shui Yiling, Ji Bai, and Devil Emperor Shui Yi, Qin Yu felt that there was a problem with his method of attack. Especially when Qin Yu saw the battle between Ao Wuming, Shui Yiling, and Ji Bai. When he saw the battle between Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya, Qin Yu was even more certain that there was a problem with his method of attack. Other people's attacks were very powerful and contained extremely strong attack power. What about himself? It seemed that he could only rely on his speed, rely on his nearly undying body, and risk his life to exchange attacks with his opponents. That's right. He possessed a divine armor and elemental life force. It would be very hard for others to kill him. His divine sword, Sky Piercer, was able to kill a few level 1 or 2 immortal lords. However, this method of attack was only a simple method of attack that utilized his own advantages. His method of attack was still stuck in the Hidden Dragon Continent's battle between mortal experts, and still stuck in the battle between cultivators. His method of attack was simply not the method of a golden immortal, nor was it the method of an immortal lord. His foundation was solid. His soul was strengthened by Lu Xing's tears. His body was practically undying. On the outside, he also possessed the divine armor for defense. On the attack, he had the divine sword Skypiercer. If he wanted strength, he had strength. If he wanted weapons, he had weapons. Merely, his attack power was not completely unleashed. Qin Yu had an impulse. He wanted to create a martial technique that belonged to him, one that was suitable for him. A martial technique that was capable of unleashing his attack power to the pinnacle and unleashing the greatest power. If his current attack power was 100, Qin Yu wanted to create the most suitable method of attack to increase his attack power to 1,000 or even higher. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu wholeheartedly immersed himself in creating his own martial technique. Time passed. Qin Yu recalled the scenes one by one, especially the scenes of the various experts fighting. The two most important battles were the battle between Xue Tianya and Emperor Yu, and the battle between Ao Wuming and Shui Yiling and Ji Bai. Qin Yu unceasingly recalled the scenes of the battles between the various experts. Because of his sensitive immortal awareness, although he was unable to clearly see every single move of their battle, he was still able to see a portion of it. As he continued to research, Qin Yu would occasionally become excited like a child who had obtained a toy. Occasionally, he would display the most simple and honest smile as he comprehended a profound realm of attack. Qin Yu's comprehension toward battle was increasing at an astonishing speed. Qin Yu finally understood why a large amount of experts wanted to see the immortal emperors fighting each other. The main reason was because they wanted to comprehend a new realm from the immortal emperor's attacks. Although Qin Yu's soul's level was very high, his soul's level was not obtained through comprehension. It was also not obtained through the gradual comprehension of other experts through the river of time. The state of his soul was based on the meteoric tier, which was the cultivation method of the 3 souls 9 refinements. When he made those hand seals which contained great magical powers, he knew what they were, but didn't know why they were made. Although this kind of training gave him a solid foundation, he had yet to truly comprehend that realm. Thus, even though Qin Yu's soul's level had reached the 3rd level of the earthly soul realm, the level of his attack techniques were still very low. At the very most, they were only at the level of the heavenly immortal. Since the level of his attack techniques were low, the efficiency would naturally be low. As the number of people fighting against each other increased, Qin Yu naturally felt that there was a problem with his own attack techniques. Qin Yu's soul's level was very high. As Qin Yu recalled the scenes of the battles between experts and then comprehended the various realms step by step, it was naturally a lot faster. During the comprehension, the attack techniques that belonged to Qin Yu were also gradually taking shape. For true experts, their attack techniques were all the most suitable for their own conditions. Time passed. On the blue snow star outside of the Zhonglan's realm, Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya were bitterly monitoring. However, Qin Yu was instead immersed in the joy of truly comprehending every realm. Chapter 367. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu was unable to sense the passage of time at all. Comprehending time and time again had caused Qin Yu to be in a state of excitement. In that state, Qin Yu was filled with passion. Strands of energy surged forth. Qin Yu was like a phantom as he floated about. The speed and power of each strand of energy was extremely astonishing. Suddenly, no! Qin Yu suddenly stopped. At this moment, it was unknown whether to laugh or cry on Qin Yu's face. At the moment when he was comprehending the realm, Qin Yu suddenly discovered that the 18 forms finger techniques that he had created in the past actually needed to be discarded. That was because the finger techniques that he had created not long ago were actually not suitable for him. This caused Qin Yu to feel a bit uncomfortable. However, there was still one thing that caused Qin Yu to feel excited. That was because Qin Yu had finally understood domain. Domain was a consummate skill that belonged to emperor-level experts. If one did not comprehend it, it would appear to be extremely profound. However, once one comprehended it, it was actually extremely simple. So the world is actually like this. The boundless cosmic space possesses its own special rules. Every single energy, every single existence, all possess their own reason for existing. Qin Yu looked at every space in the Jianglan's realm. In the past, in Qin Yu's eyes, the cosmic space was merely a cosmic space. However, in the current Qin Yu's eyes, the cosmic space possessed its own special rules. Those rules were extremely profound and profound. The current Qin Yu had merely sensed their existence. As for comprehending them, he was simply unable to do so. However, merely sensing their existence was already sufficient for Qin Yu to use domain. That 18 forms finger techniques seems to be complicated and troublesome now. Only a few types of true attacks are needed. Only the attacks of fused domains are attacks that belong to Emperor-level experts. Qin Yu closed his eyes. His immortal awareness and the energy within his body began to spread out. To comprehend domain, the most important thing was the degree of compatibility between one's soul and the cosmic space. Although Qin Yu's soul was only at the 3rd level of the earthly soul realm, with the assistance of Lu Xing's tear, he was still able to use domain. Within a radius of 100 miles, the space was still as tranquil as before. However, there were strands of black hole energy hidden in the darkness. Qin Yu's black hole energy had fused with the entire space. Within the range of this domain, Qin Yu was able to restrict his opponent's movements and even suddenly attack his opponent. Back when Qin Yu and Yu Qingzi were fighting, Yu Qingzi had relied on this move to restrain Qin Yu, preventing Qin Yu's attacks from flowing smoothly. After comprehending domain, Qin Yu's understanding of combat had deepened by another level. Qin Yu completely abandoned the 18 styles finger techniques that he had originally created. With his current understanding of the universe, he once again created an attack method that was more suitable for himself. Times on a mountain peak on Blue Snow Planet. One was dressed in white, the other in purple. Xue Tianya and Emperor Yu were standing at the summit of the mountain. Brother Snow, it's already been 5 years. In these 5 years, the two of us have been observing every corner of the Blue Snow Star the entire time. Although we've discovered some other interesting things, we have yet to discover any trace of Qin Yu, said Emperor Yu with a light smile. Xue Tianya also smiled indifferently. Back then, the battle on the Blue Snow Star had caused the relationship between the two of them to be slightly tense and even somewhat hostile. However, in these 5 years, the two of them had not discovered Qin Yu. After using their immortal awareness and devil awareness to cover the entire Blue Snow Star for a long period of time, the two great experts had already felt tired. After all, this was not seclusion training where one could cultivate for many years. They had to carefully monitor every single moment. They had a feeling that they might not be able to find Qin Yu anymore. The two of them were both losers. The two of them were in the same boat, and their relationship had instead improved a lot. Brother Feng Yu, I can't wait any longer. Who knows if that Qin Yu would stay in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion for several hundred years or even 1,000 years, said Xue Tianya with a smile. Emperor Yu also smiled bitterly. That's right, who knows how long Qin Yu would stay in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Even now, the two of them still believed that Qin Yu was staying in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Brother Xue, I have a lot of important matters and cannot stay in the Blue Snow Star forever. I will immediately return to the Immortal Realm and send 1 or 2 Emperor-level experts to monitor the Blue Snow Star, said Emperor Yu with a smile. Me too. The Blue Snow Star is only so big and Qin Yu has yet to reach the Emperor level. Sending a Devil Emperor expert to monitor the entire Blue Snow Star is enough. Once he appears, he will definitely be discovered, said Xue Tianya with certainty. Even now, the two of them did not know how sensitive Qin Yu's immortal awareness was. Merely, I'm worried that they wouldn't have the patience to monitor the entire time, sighed Emperor Yu. Even experts like Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya felt mentally tired after persisting for 5 years. If a level 2 or 3 immortal emperor were to monitor the Blue Snow Star, They would probably need to rest for a long time after persisting for a year. Xue Tianya said indifferently. They'll monitor for a period of time, rest for 10 days to half a month and then continue monitoring. That Qin Yu has yet to reach the emperor level. He would not be able to detect the monitoring of emperor-level experts. I don't believe that he would come out at such a coincidental time when no one is monitoring him. That's right. If Qin Yu has yet to reach the emperor level, he would not be able to detect the monitoring of emperor-level experts. Emperor Yu also agreed. This was the greatest reliance that Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya believed to be able to capture Qin Yu. Unfortunately, what they were relying on was completely wrong. If that Qin Yu is truly that lucky and comes out at a time when our people are not monitoring him, then it can only be said that Qin Yu's luck is good. To be so good to such an extent, it can only mean that the heavens are also helping him. That bewitching god painting is temporarily not fated with us, said Xue Tianya with a light smile. Xue Tianya looked at Emperor Yu. Even if that Qin Yu managed to escape to the immortal realm, Brother Feng Yu still has a great chance. After all, in the immortal realm, Brother Feng Yu's power is extremely great. Emperor Yu smiled and did not say anything. Well then, Brother Feng Yu, the people I sent have already arrived at the Blue Snow Star. Farewell. I also need to leave the Blue Snow Star. Farewell. The two great experts separated. What they needed to do now was to inform the people that they dispatched of Qin Yu's aura and soul aura. After all, the immortal emperors that came had never seen Qin Yu before. If one had never seen someone before, then there were two methods to recognize that person. The first method was through a jade slip. One person would transmit the image of that person into the jade slip, and the other person would be able to recognize the image after seeing it. This was merely an image. Once someone changed their appearance, then they would no longer be able to recognize them. The second method was to directly imitate another person's aura and transmit it into the other person's mind. What Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya needed to do was to imitate Qin Yu's aura and imprint it directly into the minds of their subordinates. Of course, this second method was not perfect. That was because imitating another person's aura was, after all, an imitation. It was impossible for it to be completely the same. Those immortal emperors and devil emperors that came had a slightly different understanding of Qin Yu's aura. The devil emperors and immortal emperors that came also knew about this. They would capture all of the people that possessed auras that were close to Qin Yu's aura. They would rather mistakenly capture everyone than let anyone escape. Times the Jianglan's realm was as tranquil as before. In all these years, Qin Yu had mainly researched finger techniques. That was because, regardless of whether it was the dark star energy from back then or the black hole energy now, they were both extremely condensed. With such condensed energy, the finger technique's power would be the best. Qin Yu stood on the grass motionlessly. 10 termination fingers. 10 consecutive golden finger rays were shot out from Qin Yu's fingers. These 10 finger rays did not fly out at the same time. There were slight differences between them. However, if one's soul's level was not high, then one would not be able to detect the differences between these 10 finger rays. They turned into 10 rays of light. Bang! The final 10 golden finger rays actually strangely gathered together and shot onto the ground. When these 10 finger rays were shot out, they were mainly shot out from 6 of Qin Yu's 10 fingers. When they flew out, the 10 finger rays were all parallel or overlapping. It appeared that the 10 finger rays were also flying in a straight line. Theoretically, the 10 finger rays would definitely not overlap. However, inexplicably, these 10 finger rays actually overlapped. If it was the Qin Yu from before this secluded training, then he would definitely not be able to understand this. He would even think that this was a mistake. However, the current Qin Yu understood it. Furthermore, he had created this swift and fierce 10 termination fingers. This was the difference between realms. The understanding of mortals, the understanding of cultivators, the understanding of immortals, and even the understanding of emperor-level experts were all different. Now Qin Yu also understood it. When he killed Yu Qingzi, he was clearly the one who attacked first. Furthermore, His speed was faster than Yu Qingzi's. Why was it that Yu Qingzi was able to block his attack every single time? It turned out that sometimes the optimal path of attack between 2 points was not a straight line. At the very least, it was not a rigid straight line. That was because the cosmic space was constantly flowing. The space was constantly changing. The so-called straight line of mortals, to a certain extent, was actually slow. This was also the reason why Qin Yu felt that when experts like Xue Tianya attacked, their attacks were graceful and the results were extremely good. However, at that time, Qin Yu did not understand the reason. Now he understood. This set of finger techniques of Qin Yu was divided into a total of 4 styles. The first style, 10,000 weight fingers. The second style, 1,000 illusionary fingers. The third style, 10 termination fingers. The fourth style, sky-piercing finger. This final style, sky-piercing finger, was created by Qin Yu using the black hole within his body. This was the strongest style that Qin Yu was capable of using. Qin Yu had once thought that if the black hole was able to produce such a terrifying devouring power when it was spinning, then what about when it was spinning in reverse? Qin Yu had experimented. If he were to experiment with it in reverse, it would produce a terrifying ejecting power. As long as Qin Yu controlled the power of the black hole at the other end of the black hole and accelerated it by spinning in reverse, the power of the black hole would reach a terrifying speed when it was shot out from the black hole. Soon after, the power of the black hole would pass through Qin Yu's finger and shoot out in accordance with his current comprehension. The power of the black hole was so great that even Qin Yu was shocked after creating it. However, when using this move, Qin Yu would also have to suffer a lot. That was because the power of the black hole, after it was accelerated by spinning in reverse from the other end of the black hole, its speed was far beyond Qin Yu's imagination. After it was shot out at that speed, it would quickly pass through Qin Yu's body and shoot out from his finger. From his dantian to Qin Yu's finger, it was simply impossible to circulate according to the meridians. That was because the speed of the black hole was too fast. It was so fast that Qin Yu found it very difficult to circulate it within his meridians. Thus, Qin Yu was only able to make it change its direction slightly. Thus, within Qin Yu's body, there was a channel formed by life elemental energy. This channel was directly connected from his dantian to Qin Yu's finger. That black hole would pass through this life elemental energy channel and shoot out according to the direction pointed by his index finger. Fortunately, ever since Qin Yu reached the black hole realm, his consciousness had absorbed the energy from the flower paste space. His consciousness had undergone a transformation. Qin Yu's control over his body's energy had also increased by a large amount. Only then was he able to barely control that finger ray with frightening speed to shoot out according to the trajectory that he had comprehended. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu's aura had become extremely sharp. 10 termination fingers. Qin Yu flicked his hands and shot them out. 10 golden finger rays were shot out in succession. Some of them overlapped while some of them were parallel. Just like that, they were shot out. In merely a short moment, these 10 golden finger rays once again overlapped. When the 10 finger rays gathered, their might was obvious. Qin Yu paused for a moment. After the surrounding space stabilized, he instantly teleported to a location extremely far away from where the 10 termination fingers were shot out. Sky-piercing finger. Bang! A golden blur was shot out from Qin Yu's index finger. Only a short moment after this golden blur was shot out did the air begin to vibrate with an astonishing sound. And at this moment, the golden light of the 10 termination fingers had already flown into Qin Yu's field of view. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The 10 termination fingers were defeated. The golden blur continued to shoot out. With an intention from Qin Yu, the ground in the distance protruded out and blocked the direction of the sky-piercing finger. A series of explosive sounds were heard. The sky-piercing finger had pierced through an unknown amount of ground before stopping. As the master of the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu was able to easily control the movement of the ground in the Zhonglan's realm. The might of the sky-piercing finger is many times stronger than the 10 termination fingers. Qin Yu was able to discover that after the sky-piercing finger had defeated the 10 termination fingers, it had only lost a small portion of its power. What should I call this set of finger techniques? Qin Yu pondered for a moment. For some unknown reason, Qin Yu seemed to have recalled his time in the Hidden Dragon continent. At that time, he had called himself Mr. Lu Xing and had gone to the Great Desolate Land with his royal father to undergo the 4-9 heavenly tribulation. And it was also because of the arrival of Lu Xing that he had transformed into a drop of Lu Xing's tear that changed his fate. Qin Yu possessed a special feeling toward Lu Xing. Lu Xing, let's call it Lu Xing finger techniques. Qin Yu did not really care about this name. The name was merely a symbol. What was truly important was the might of the finger techniques themselves. While others might be able to learn the first 3 moves of this Lu Xing finger techniques, it was likely that only Qin Yu himself would be able to use the 4th move. Qin Yu calculated in his heart. He couldn't help but sigh. 100 years, I've actually trained for 100 years. A set of finger techniques actually took so long to be created. At present, Qin Yu was still at the mid-stage black hole realm. His power had not increased by much, but his actual attack power had increased to a whole new level. In the past 100 years, Qin Yu had mainly created the Lu Xing finger techniques. This Lu Xing finger techniques was simply a finger technique, but in reality it could also be transformed into a palm technique, a fist technique, and so on. This was because the value of the Lu Xing finger techniques lay in Qin Yu's comprehension of the universe and of the realms. As for Qin Yu's horizons, the level of techniques and so on, they had all reached a whole new level. At the same time, his comprehension of domain had also allowed Qin Yu to truly be qualified to fight against emperor-level experts. Chapter 368. Looking at the boundless space within the Jianglan's realm, Qin Yu took a deep breath. It's time to go out. This time around I should be a bit more cautious. At the very least, I should change my appearance. Qin Yu changed his appearance. His long hair had turned into 3-inch long short hair. His black gown had also turned into tight blue close-fitting clothes. He appeared to be a bit more capable and valiant. At the same time, his appearance had also become a bit more rough. After preparing everything, Qin Yu prepared to leave the Jianglan's realm. Amen. Someone's monitoring me. Qin Yu clearly sensed that there were 2 people's soul power that swept past the sand formed by the Jianglan's realm. One is an immortal emperor and the other is a devil emperor. Their strength should be around level 2 or 3 immortal emperors. Qin Yu determined the approximate strength of these 2 people from the soul power that swept past the sand. After muttering to himself for a moment, Qin Yu felt helpless in his heart. It seems that these 2 people should be sent by those 2 level 8 immortal emperors and devil emperors. Regarding these 2 level 8 immortal emperors and devil emperors, Qin Yu was 80% certain that they were Xue Qinya and Emperor Yu. Humph, even if they're level 8 immortal emperors, it's still impossible for them to persist forever. If they can't endure it, then they'll have their subordinates. Qin Yu suddenly discovered that one of the immortal awareness had actually disappeared. Qin Yu was slightly startled. Soon after, he reacted. It seems that the immortal emperor monitoring me was tired. There were a total of 2 people monitoring him. One was an immortal emperor and the other was a devil emperor. Currently, that immortal emperor was already resting. When would this devil emperor rest? I hope that there's no cooperation between these 2 people. Qin Yu hoped in his heart. If these 2 people were to cooperate, then when I'm resting, you're monitoring me. When you're resting, I'm monitoring you. If Qin Yu wanted to safely leave, then he would have no choice but to take a detour through the devil realm. Qin Yu was not willing to take a detour. Qin Yu was certain that the level 8 devil emperors and level 8 immortal emperors that were chasing after him were competing with each other. How could they possibly cooperate? With this thought in mind, Qin Yu decided to wait and see. He waited for a month. After a month, Qin Yu excitedly discovered that there were no immortal or devil senses monitoring the outside world. Qin Yu didn't know that the immortal emperors and devil emperors had to rest for a month every year. Although their rest periods overlapped, there would always be a period of time where no one was monitoring. Emperor Yu and Shui Tianya were certain that Qin Yu wouldn't be able to detect the surveillance of an emperor-level expert. Furthermore, the time when no one is monitoring them is very short. Therefore, they didn't pay much attention to it. The sky was clear and boundless. There were only a few white clouds floating in the horizon. Blue Snow Planet was very lively at this time. There were a large number of cultivators on the streets. Qin Yu was walking on the street. I remember when the code name Mr. Lu Xing was in the Hidden Dragon continent. He had short hair. I haven't had short hair for a long time. Qin Yu felt very comfortable with his 3-inch short hair. After all, he hadn't had short hair for a long time. Qin Yu quickly passed through the city. As soon as he entered the grassland, Qin Yu immediately teleported to the location of the interstellar transfer array. Since there was no one monitoring him right now, Qin Yu wasn't afraid of being discovered. There were truly a lot of people who wanted to go to the immortal realm from the Blue Snow Planet. At this time, there were already a large number of people queuing up. Where to? The manager of the interstellar transfer array asked Qin Yu. Qin Yu said with a smile, "To the immortal realm's long bright star." The immortal realm's long bright star was the border planet between the immortal realm and the Indigo Bay starfield. 3 high-grade elemental spirit stones, said the manager indifferently. Qin Yu was slightly shocked. To go from one starfield to another, the price was indeed ridiculously high. However, to Qin Yu, this amount of money was nothing. After paying the 3 high-grade elemental spirit stones, Qin Yu stepped into the interstellar transfer array. A burst of cheerful radiance flickered. Qin Yu couldn't help but smile. 2 level 8 immortal emperors and a devil emperor. You two are still unable to catch me. Unfortunately, you've wasted so much of your energy and even allowed me to see a marvelous fight between you two. Instead, I've benefited immensely. The radiance disappeared. Qin Yu also disappeared. In the southernmost region of the immortal realm, there was a resplendent planet. It was under the illumination of a star all year round. There was no such thing as night on this planet. Thus, this planet was called Long Bright Star. In the same galaxy as the Long Bright Star, there was a rather famous planet called the Bright Sulfur Planet. The reason why this Bright Sulfur Planet was famous was because this planet produced extremely rare ores. And at this time, Qin Yu was on the Bright Sulfur Planet. Inside an ordinary restaurant on the Bright Sulfur Planet, Qin Yu was currently drinking this restaurant's so-called signature wine. Qin Yu didn't feel much about this wine. However, he had truly never drunk it before. Drinking it this time could be considered to have broadened his horizons. After being in the Jianglan's realm for so many years, I've never drunk wine nor eaten food. My mouth has become so tasteless. Qin Yu was completely relaxed. In the inner regions of the immortal realm, as long as he did not stir up trouble, it was simply a dream for that level 8 immortal emperor to catch him. Unless that level 8 immortal emperor bumped into him head-on. Even if that level 8 immortal emperor bumped into him head-on, that level 8 immortal emperor would still not be certain of Qin Yu's identity. Level 8 immortal emperor. It ought to be Emperor Yu. Qin Yu thought in his heart. Big brother Wu Ming had also told me when we were chatting. Of the 3 big shots of the immortal realm, the Mystic Emperor was a woman. As for the Cyan Emperor, she rarely fights and is extremely mysterious. According to what Wu Ming had said and how Emperor Yu had already wanted to kill him, Qin Yu was certain that the level 8 immortal emperor ought to be Emperor Yu. As long as he was careful in Emperor Yu's territory and did not stir up trouble, he ought to be extremely safe. Among the countless planets and countless people, for Emperor Yu to meet Qin Yu face to face, that possibility. Just by thinking about it, one would know how small it was. It was already difficult to meet in a planet with over 100 million people, let alone a galaxy with that many planets. How many galaxies were there in the immortal realm? After resting for a day on the bright sulfur star, Qin Yu finally began to set off. Setting off from the southernmost part of the immortal realm, he proceeded towards the border between the immortal realm and the demon realm, which was also the westernmost part of the immortal realm. The immortal realm occupied close to 20% of the entire immortal, devil and demon realm. There were close to 20 star fields. Qin Yu did not rest at all. From one planet to another, from one galaxy to another, he continued to advance without stopping. Currently, Qin Yu possessed an interstellar map of almost the entire immortal, devil and demon realm. This interstellar map was obtained by Qin Yu and Ao Wuming. With such a brother, how could Qin Yu not know how to cherish resources? When the Dragon Clan's prince made a move, it was indeed extraordinary. On this map of the immortal devil and demon realm, the interstellar conveying arrays of the various planets were extremely detailed. Furthermore, this interstellar map was the newest map of the Dragon Clan. The date of its creation was only 100 years ago. 8 great star fields. In a single breath, Qin Yu had advanced to 8 great star fields. In these 10 days, Qin Yu had only rested for half a day. Unceasing transmission, unceasing transmission. Right now, I feel dizzy just by looking at the radiance of the interstellar conveying arrays. Qin Yu stepped out of the interstellar conveying array of the Wormwood Star. This time he did not line up to continue advancing. Instead, he first went to the city of the Wormwood Star to rest for a while. The Wormwood Star was a very ordinary planet. It was also not within Emperor Yu's sphere of influence. Qin Yu had a rule in his heart. During his journey, he absolutely could not rest in Emperor Yu's territory. In a city of the Wormwood Star, after strolling on the streets for half a day, Qin Yu casually bought some interesting gadgets. Then he stepped into a restaurant. After casually ordering a few dishes and a few bottles of wine, Qin Yu sat down. Right now, I've already passed through 8 star fields. In less than a month, I'll be able to reach the demon realm. Qin Yu looked at the scenery outside the window. He felt very relaxed. Senior brother, why did Master summon us back in such a hurry? Following the clear and melodious voice, 4 white-clothed youths walked in from outside the restaurant. These 4 people naturally emitted an air of arrogance. Indeed, among the 4 of them, 2 were level 8 golden immortals and 2 were level 9 golden immortals. On an ordinary planet like the Wormwood Star, this kind of strength was definitely at the peak. It was rare for an emperor-level expert to visit a planet like the Wormwood Star. Third junior brother, Master didn't say anything in detail in the transmission spiritual bead. The only dark-skinned youth among the 4 said helplessly, "Eldest senior brother, third junior brother, I've heard why Master summoned us back to the sect." The second senior brother said mysteriously. The other 3 senior brothers hurriedly looked at the second senior brother. "Second senior brother, tell us. Don't hide it anymore." The last person, old fourth, urged. "Second junior brother, quickly tell us." The eldest senior brother also urged. Not far away, Qin Yu, who was quietly drinking wine, slightly frowned. He had been rushing all the way and finally came here to rest for a period of time. Yet, these 4 senior brothers were making a big fuss. Qin Yu endured and didn't say anything. "Actually, I'm also not very sure. However, I know that this time the sect master is very happy." He even invited 2 immortal emperors to celebrate. The second senior brother's face was red as he said proudly, "Level 9 Golden Immortal was only 1 step away from Level 1 Immortal Emperor." However, countless experts were stuck at the threshold of Level 9 Golden Immortal, unable to take another step forward. Just by looking at the number of Level 9 Golden Immortals and Level 1 Immortal Emperors in the Jade Sword sect, one could see how difficult it was to take this step. 2 Immortal Emperors. Which 2 Immortal Emperors? The 3 senior brothers beside him were curious. The second senior brother slowly drank a mouthful of wine. When the 3 senior brothers were about to teach him a lesson, he said, "These 2 immortal emperors, one of them is Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, one of the 18 immortal emperors under His Majesty. Wow, immortal Emperor Yu Fan. The fourth junior brother's eyes shined. I heard that immortal Emperor Yu Fan is very powerful. Back then, the leader of a small power in the immortal realm was disrespectful to His Majesty. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan relied on the heavenly fan seal arts to kill 3 great immortal emperors consecutively. That power immediately collapsed. 18 immortal emperors. Qin Yu's left hand that was holding the wine slightly paused. It seems that only the subordinates of Emperor Yu have the title of 18 immortal emperors. Could it be that these senior brothers are Emperor Yu's people? When it came to Emperor Yu, Qin Yu couldn't help but concentrate on listening to what these people were saying. Second senior brother. Who is the remaining immortal emperor? The fourth junior brother asked. The second senior brother laughed and said, the remaining one is also not an ordinary person. He is also one of the 36 rulers like our sect master. He is the sect master of the Jade Sword sect from the Indigo Bay Starfield, Yu Qingzi. Immortal Emperor Yu Qingzi. That's a sword immortal. The big senior brother's eyes shined. This immortal Emperor Yu Qingzi is said to be only a level 1 immortal emperor. However, his attacks are very fierce. Yu Qingzi. Qin Yu's heart trembled. He couldn't help but reveal a trace of excitement on his face. Yu Qingzi, oh Yu Qingzi. Last time I didn't kill you. I didn't expect that after so many years, you didn't hide in the Jade Sword sect. Instead you came to the immortal realm. This time the heavens want you dead. Qin Yu had always been brooding over Honshu's death. Although Honshu's death was a suicide, he was forced to commit suicide. In Qin Yu's heart, the person he wanted to kill the most was Yu Qingzi, the one who made the plan. It was Yu Qingzi who made the plan to encircle and kill Qin Yu. If it wasn't for that plan, what happened to his disciple? On the Amber Moon Star, Qin Yu continuously attacked Yu Qingzi. However, the difference in strength between him and Yu Qingzi was too great. Even though he had the body of a sword immortal puppet, his understanding of battle was too low. He was completely restrained by Yu Qingzi's domain. This time Yu Qingzi, you will definitely die. Qin Yu made up his mind to kill Yu Qingzi first. From the words of these 4 martial brothers, Yu Qingzi should be together with 2 other immortal emperors. One of them is one of the 36 rulers and the other is one of the 18 emperors, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. That Immortal Emperor Yu Fan is slightly more troublesome. However, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan is definitely not on par with the Green Blood Sword Immortal. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan is still unable to kill me. Qin Yu's heart was not afraid at all. However, one must also have a plan when making arrangements, right? At the very least, he knew what sect these 4 martial brothers were from and which planet they were on. Qin Yu pondered in his heart. His face could not help but reveal a trace of a smile. She invited 2 immortal emperors to celebrate. Sect master must have some joyous occasion. Third martial brother said with a smile. At this moment they were also looking forward to returning. After all, there were 2 immortal emperors who could see them. Soon after, the 4 martial brothers began to make a ruckus again. The other people in the restaurant did not dare to reprimand them. After all, these 4 people were too strong. You 4 juniors, be quiet. A deep voice came from the corner of the restaurant. Who? The faces of the 4 martial brothers changed. At the same time, they looked towards the direction of the voice. It was Qin Yu who had changed his appearance. Eldest martial brother. The enemy is unfathomable. Second martial brother transmitted. How could the eldest martial brother not know that the 4 martial brothers were terrified the moment they saw Qin Yu? This was because they discovered that the 4 of them were unable to detect even a trace of Qin Yu's aura. If they were to close their eyes, they would even think that there was no one in that corner. Senior, we 4 martial brothers did not know that Senior was here. We have been impulsive. Eldest martial brother stood out and said respectfully, which sect are you from? Who are your seniors? Qin Yu drank his wine and said indifferently. His eyes did not even look at the four Marshall brothers. Eldest Marshall brother said respectfully, "We are disciples of the Floating Moon Galaxy's Ice Wind sect. The sect master is immortal Emperor Bing Lian." "Oh, so you are a disciple of Bing Lian's sect. For Bing Lian's sake I will let it go." Qin Yu stood up indifferently. Then his figure flashed and he appeared at the door. With his back facing the four Marshall brothers, he said, "Juniors, remember this. In the future, before you make a ruckus in the restaurant, look clearly at who is inside." "Yes, yes." The four Marshall brothers stood respectfully. Hearing Qin Yu's familiar tone when he addressed immortal Emperor Bing Lian, coupled with the fact that they were unable to see through his strength, they were certain that this unfathomable person in front of them was definitely an emperor-level expert. When the four of them raised their heads to look, Qin Yu had already disappeared. At this moment, the four of them let out a long sigh of relief. Chapter 369. Beside the interstellar conveying array of the Wormwood Star, Qin Yu directly teleported to it. Floating Moon Galaxy, Ice Wind Sect. Qin Yu took out a jade slip. This jade slip was obtained from Ao Wuming. Within it was a map of practically all the places in the immortal devil and demon realm. Fortunately, I asked Big Brother Wuming for this interstellar map. If it was still the simple interstellar map from before, I reckon that it would be impossible to find the Icewind Sect's planet in the Floating Moon Galaxy. However, Big Brother Wuming's interstellar map is much more detailed. Qin Yu's face was filled with joy. On the map that Ao Wuming gave him, there was a detailed introduction of every planet. For example, which power controlled the planet, and who was the expert overseeing the power. In short, it was extremely detailed. Qin Yu swept through the Floating Moon Galaxy's planets with his immortal awareness and immediately found the planet where the Icewind Sect was located. White Ice Star. This was the planet where the Icewind Sect was located. The entire surface of this planet was covered with a layer of ice. The two great cities on this white ice star were directly opened by immortal cultivators using their power. Furthermore, they used restrictions to maintain the warmth of spring inside. The Floating Moon Galaxy is not far from here. I've already been here for so many years, there's no need to rush these few days. Qin Yu immediately paid the fee and stepped into the interstellar conveying array. Following the flickering of light, Qin Yu continued onward. Although the Wormwood Star did not belong to the Floating Moon Galaxy, it was in the same star field as the Floating Moon Galaxy. Half a day later, Floating Moon Galaxy's White Ice Star, White Wind City. In a restaurant in the White Wind City. This restaurant could be considered as luxurious in the entire White Wind City. Behind the restaurant was a quiet courtyard. The cost of a day's accommodation was also an expensive price of 100. "Boss, if there's nothing, don't let anyone disturb me." After casually throwing a high-quality elemental spirit stone, Qin Yu walked toward a courtyard behind the restaurant. "Senior, please rest assured. There will definitely be no one disturbing Senior." Seeing a high-quality elemental spirit stone, the middle-aged man on the counter immediately displayed a joyous expression. Usually, experts would casually give one or two high-quality elemental spirit stones and not ask for change even after they leave. As for Qin Yu, in the eyes of this boss, he was clearly such a generous senior. In the quiet courtyard, Qin Yu was quietly thinking about the matter of killing Yu Qingzi. After suffering a great loss last time, Qin Yu had learned his lesson. The Floating Moon Galaxy is Emperor Yu's territory. It is precisely under the control of this Icewind Sect. However, in the Plate Egg Star Field, where the Floating Moon Galaxy is located, there is only one galaxy that belongs to Emperor Yu. Qin Yu looked at the information on the interstellar map. None of the three giants of the immortal realm had complete control over a star field. They only occupied different star systems in different star fields. Some occupied one star system, some occupied 2 or 3 star systems, and some didn't even have a single star system. This time Qin Yu killed Yu Qingzi. His only concern was the other two immortal emperors. Qin Yu, who had comprehended the Lu Xing finger technique and the domain, had enough confidence to kill the first-level immortal emperor, Yu Qingzi. However, the other two immortal emperors were a little troublesome. Especially one of them, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, who was one of the 18 immortal emperors, was extremely powerful. Under Emperor Yu, there were 18 immortal emperors and 36 lords. Among them, even the weakest of the 18 immortal emperors was stronger than the strongest of the 36 lords. Evidently, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's strength was at least stronger than Immortal Emperor Qian Qi. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan is not the green-blooded sword immortal. It is still impossible for him to kill me. However, no matter what, I cannot let that Emperor Yu find out about this and chase after me. If Emperor Yu were to come, then this matter would be troublesome. Although he had yet to make his move, Qin Yu was already considering the worst-case scenario. First of all, even if I were to kill Yu Qingzi, I cannot let Immortal Emperor Yu Fan and them know that I am Qin Yu. Qin Yu had already decided in his heart. This time he would use the Lu Xing finger technique. It was still impossible for the other party to infer that he was Qin Yu from the Lu Xing finger technique. Even if they were to find out many years later, at that time, with Qin Yu's strength, there would be no need for him to be afraid of others. If my identity were to be exposed, if that Emperor Yu were to chase after me, how would I escape then? Qin Yu did not know where Emperor Yu was currently. If the distance was far, it would be impossible for him to chase after him in such a short period of time. It's just that Qin Yu now has to consider every situation clearly. Here, Qin Yu's immortal awareness discovered a place, another galaxy of the Plate Egg star field, the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. The Angelica de Hurica galaxy was the territory of the Saiyan Emperor, one of the three big shots of the immortal realm. The division of powers on the Dragon Clan's interstellar map actually listed the Saiyan Emperor as a power that cannot be provoked. Qin Yu saw some of the detailed hints on the Dragon Clan's interstellar map and couldn't help but be shocked. Qin Yu didn't know that this interstellar map that belonged to the Dragon Clan would be updated once every 100 years. It belonged to the internal information. Furthermore, only the higher-ups were allowed to read it. The reason why Ao Wuming gave it to Qin Yu was because he had indeed considered Qin Yu as a good brother. This Saiyan Emperor is actually known as Evergreen. The amount of time he stayed at the level of Immortal Emperor is actually known as the longest in history. Qin Yu saw some of the introductions regarding the Saiyan Emperor in the Jade Slip and was shocked. The Saiyan Emperor was a person overflowing with talent. The amount of time it took for him to cultivate from a heavenly immortal to a level 8 Immortal Emperor was not long. However, after he reached level 8 Immortal Emperor, he had never broken through again. When he had just reached level 8 Immortal Emperor, even the hidden Emperor Lin Yin was still a nobody in the immortal realm. During the time he stayed at level 8 Immortal Emperor, Lin Yin cultivated from a nobody to a level 9 Immortal Emperor in one go and became a peak existence in the immortal realm. Anyone who saw this introduction would find it strange. Why would a person overflowing with talent stay at level 8 Immortal Emperor for such a long time? Even if he had the aptitude of an ordinary Immortal Emperor, he would still be able to break through to level 9 Immortal Emperor in such a long time. Could it be that the Saiyan Emperor deliberately did not absorb the energy? That's not right. Qin Yu started to frown. Even if a cultivator does not deliberately train, their body would still automatically absorb energy. Even if the speed of the energy that the body automatically absorbs is very slow, but in such a long period of time, the amount of energy that the body absorbs is sufficient to allow one to reach level 9 Immortal Emperor. Not to mention cultivation experts. Even cultivators who have reached the level of Jindan would have their bodies automatically absorb energy. It's just that the speed of the body's automatic absorption is relatively slow. It can't catch up with the speed of wholeheartedly controlling the absorption. Could it be that the Saiyan Emperor is unwilling to reach level 9 Immortal Emperor? That's why he has been controlling his body to not absorb energy, and even dispersing a portion of the energy in his body after a period of time. Qin Yu did not believe this. What's so good about being a level 8 immortal emperor forever? Just to survive. Qin Yu could not believe that the Saiyan emperor stayed at level 8 immortal emperor because he was afraid of the divine tribulation. It was impossible for such a cowardly person to cultivate to level 8 immortal emperor. The Saiyan emperor had cultivated for a long time. His soul realm might be very high, surpassing level 9 immortal emperor, or even higher. The soul realm only represented the amount of energy one could control. The energy in one's body was the foundation to resist the divine tribulation. Sooner or later, one would have to undergo the divine tribulation. Why drag it out? Qin Yu was puzzled. This Saiyan emperor is truly mysterious. He was even determined by the Dragon Clan to be the most untouchable person in the immortal realm. A trace of a smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. He was too lazy to care why the Saiyan emperor stayed at level 8 immortal emperor. However, Qin Yu knew one thing. Even the Dragon Clan determined the Saiyan emperor to be the most untouchable person in the immortal realm. It was impossible for Emperor Yu to not know how powerful the Saiyan emperor was. Therefore, Emperor Yu did not dare to be arrogant in the Saiyan emperor's territory. It would be safest for him to escape into the Saiyan emperor's territory. From the White Ice Star, I can directly use the interstellar conveying array to reach the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. Qin Yu thought of a possibility. If he were to kill Yu Qingzi, then Immortal Emperor Bing Lian and Immortal Emperor Yu Fan might give the order to stop the interstellar conveying array. If that's really the case, then I'll just use greater teleportation to advance. After all, the floating moon galaxy is close to the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. Qin Yu felt relaxed. Qin Yu did not dare to use greater teleportation between star fields. However, Qin Yu still had the courage to do so between star fields. Furthermore, Qin Yu could also go to another planet and then go to the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. The interstellar conveying array to the Angelica de Hurica galaxy was not only in the White Ice Star. Good, it's decided then. Qin Yu was completely confident in his heart. No matter what the situation would become, he would just escape to the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. There were two great cities in the White Ice Star. One was the White Wind City and the other was the Ice Imperial City. The White Wind City occupied a larger area than the Ice Imperial City. However, the Ice Imperial City had a higher status than the White Wind City. That was because the Ice Wind sect was located in the Ice Imperial City. The Ice Imperial City also had the most experts. After exiting the White Wind City, phew, what cold weather! Under his feet was an endless amount of solid ice. Even though the sun was shining brightly, the temperature was still very low. An air cushion formed by strong qi automatically appeared under Qin Yu's feet. Skating on the endless ice layer, Qin Yu rapidly flew towards the Ice Imperial City. Skating. How interesting. After skating for a short distance, Qin Yu would use teleportation to advance a large distance. Then, he would skate for a short distance before using teleportation to advance a large distance. Just like that, after teleporting 3 times, Qin Yu arrived at the gates of the Ice Imperial City. The 2 guards of the Ice Imperial City saw a person from afar. Their feet were stuck to the ice layer as they shot over at high speed. Skating. The 2 guards were stunned. The distance between the White Wind City and the Ice Imperial City was very far. If one were to rely on skating, how long would it take? Usually people who came here would either teleport or fly over at high speed. They had never seen someone skating over. Brother, hurry up and get out of the way. That person is an expert. One of the guards shouted to the other. As guards of the Ice Imperial City, they had at least the strength of a golden immortal. They still had a bit of insight. Qin Yu directly skated through the gates of the Ice Imperial City. Interesting. Qin Yu let out a long sigh as he withdrew the energy beneath his feet. There wasn't any hard ice inside the Ice Imperial City. Furthermore, Qin Yu had only done it in a moment of childishness. The Ice Imperial City was very prosperous. Although it wasn't as big as the White Wind City, the layout of the entire city was very compact and very beautiful. Walking on the streets, Qin Yu instantly spread out his immortal awareness and covered the entire Ice Imperial City. In the center of the Ice Imperial City was the location of the Icewind Sect. The main hall of the Icewind Sect was 99 floors high. At the top of the 99 floors of the main hall, there was an extremely beautiful ice sculpture of an enormous beauty. Lively. With just a sweep of his immortal awareness, Qin Yu discovered the liveliness of the Icewind Sect. It was as if something joyous had happened. The entire Icewind Sect was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Everyone was laughing. This is a bit troublesome. This Yu Qingzi is actually living together with another immortal Emperor Yu Fan. The instant his immortal awareness swept past, the expert of the Icewind Sect, Qin Yu, had already discovered it. There were 4 immortal emperors in the Ice Seal Sect. The strongest level 6 immortal emperor should be one of the 18 immortal emperors under Emperor Yu, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Second to Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was a beautiful immortal emperor. This beautiful immortal emperor's appearance was exactly the same as that enormous ice sculpture of an enormous beauty. She should be the sect master of the Icewind Sect, Immortal Emperor Bing Lian. The third strongest was Yu Qingzi, a level 1 immortal emperor sword immortal. As for the weakest immortal emperor, it was a youngster. A youngster who had just stepped into the level 1 immortal emperor. That immortal emperor Bing Lian and that youngster should be people of the Icewind Sect. The place where they live belongs to the people of the Icewind Sect. As for Yu Qingzi and immortal emperor Yu Fan, they live in the place where the guests live. Qin Yu was able to clearly determine that because there were several tens of people in the area where Yu Qingzi lived, the aura of these several tens of people were different from the aura of the people of the Icewind Sect. Senior sister Martial Uncle Young Sect Master is indeed a genius. He started cultivating much later than us. Back then, when I was still a heavenly immortal, Young Sect Master was still a child. Now, Young Sect Master has already reached the immortal emperor realm. It hasn't even been 100,000 years yet. Martial Uncle Young Sect Master is so capable. Sect Master is also very happy. I heard from Master that Sect Master is always smiling these few days. 2 white-clothed women laughed as they brushed past Qin Yu. Young Sect Master. Qin Yu continued to walk forward. Along the way, Qin Yu discovered that the majority of the people in the Ice Imperial City were discussing this genius youngster, who cultivated to the level 1 immortal emperor realm in less than 100,000 years. Icewind Sect's Young Sect Master Bing Xian. Cultivating to the level 9 golden immortal realm in less than 100,000 years was not something to be surprised about. However, cultivating to the level 1 immortal emperor realm was enough to be called a genius. Genius. Cultivating to the level 1 immortal emperor realm in less than 100,000 years is still a genius. When Qin Yu heard so many people's envious voices and praises, he thought of his good brother Jun Luoyu, a genius immortal emperor who cultivated to the level 2 immortal emperor realm in less than 100 years. Compared to my brother Luoyu, the difference is too big. Qin Yu sighed. In reality, Qin Yu's cultivation time was even shorter. It's just that Qin Yu believed that relying on Lu Xing's tears could not be considered as an ability. However, Qin Yu forgot that. For many people, luck also played a large part in their success. For example, Jun Luoyu also had a part in luck. Qin Yu quietly walked on the street. Qin Yu had already decided that when he neared the Icewind Sect's mountain gate, it would be the moment Yu Qingzi died. And the time that Qin Yu was walking right now was the last time Yu Qingzi was alive. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.